Hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing good. How are you?
I am doing fantastic.
I'm so excited. This is like, it's finally beginning.
I feel like we're at that moment like in Almost Famous. It's all happening. It's all
So exciting.
happening. I know. Y'all, we have a ton of trials coming up, and your girl is covering all of them. Okay, we've got Letitia Stout. She's coming up. We've got Sarah Boone. She's coming up, and I've been excited to cover Sarah since forever.
Oh,
And
I'm
then when
excited now.
she postponed her trial got postponed because
Oh,
she's
okay.
needed to have a she was supposed to actually start before Murdoch.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, so what had happened was she was supposed to have an in-person meeting with her um attorney and he came down with the vid and so he couldn't, and so he asked for an extension, which is why her trial is in March. Her trial technically should have been done and over with, so I've been waiting for her. Also, I've been waiting for Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell because Allie and I talked about this 5 ever ago, and we decided we were going to be
Mm-hmm.
trial buddies,
Yes. I
like
can't
Toy
wait.
Story moving buddies, but more fun because we're better.
Yes. I can't wait. Even if we just have the audio, which it's looking like that's kind of what we're going to have, I still think that it would be really fun to go
Of
to.
course it will be.
I
And
can't wait,
besides that,
man.
I know everybody. I'll say hi everybody coming in. It's so good to see everybody. I'm so glad you guys are
Yes.
here. Thank you for being here, especially given the short notice. But okay, at first I was irritated with the fact that the trials were severed, but then I remembered about being glass half full. And what I remembered is that when they were talking about whether cameras would be allowed, it's Vallow that was against it, but Daybell was like, "Oh hell yeah, bring in them cameras."
Yes.
He didn't care. So
I
that probably
forgot about that.
yes, so that probably means okay, we're not going to get to see what flavor uh,
Lipstick.
what's her face is wearing for her lipstick, whether it's going to be hot Cheeto, regular Cheeto, what's the other one?
Cherry
Takis,
Kool-Aid. Cherry
cherry
Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid. What coffee she's going to use for her mascara? Who knows? We're not going to get to see that. That's okay. We're going to get to see Chad Daybell and his mad face the whole time.
Oh my
So
gosh. That's really exciting because I forgot about that. I think they actually wanted attorney. They wanted cameras, I mean, his attorney. And his
yes.
attorney likes to put on a show. So that will be very interesting to watch how it goes down. But I remember, Jen, when they were talking about the upcoming trial, prosecutors, like one of their arguments was basically it's the same evidence for both of them. So
Mm-hmm.
why would we present it twice? So I'm curious how they're gonna look, how different they're going to look, now that they're separate, because they can't, if, like, let's say that Lori and Alex did something together, well, that can't be used in Chad's trial, right? I mean, I don't know. It's going to be interesting how it shakes out with
Yeah.
evidence.
Well, so okay. That's no, they can be used in Chad's trial. And the only reason I think it can. Now, I let me just say this, you guys. Do I watch trials? Yes. Am I fascinated by them? Yes. Do I know some things about the law? Yes. But if you get into a bind, I should not be your call. Like if you're down at the cop shop, don't call Jen Lou. I can't help you. What I'm going to tell you is to call an attorney. That's my advice. But what I remember is from the
Right.
Wagner trial, and now Jake, which was the brother, and Angela Wagner had taken plea deals. Okay. They testified at George's trial. But there is another trial coming up, and that is of their father, Billy Wagner. Okay. And they brought up crimes that Billy Wagner did in George's trial because they were all together at the houses. So they
Right.
they committed the crime together. So they used everybody's. evidence. So yes, it's very, very possible. And I do remember another trial way, way back. The Alex and Derek King trial. They were charged with Ricky Chavez, who was an adult, and the boys were, I think, 12 and 14 when they went to trial. I think they were like 11 and 13 when they unalived their father. And Ricky
Oh
Chavez
God.
was a registered SO. Um,
Mm,
that was grooming, and there was a situation. It was, bad between him and the youngest brother, Alex. Okay, and he's the one that convinced them to unalive their dad and then hid them out. In fact, the boys would run away to Ricky's house. Okay, he was a friend of their
right.
father's, and they would go over to Ricky's house when they were young, because their father was a single parent, didn't have a girlfriend, none of that, and he babysat, essentially, kept,
Mm,
stay home
yeah.
alone. They were too young, and then then it was disgusting. And the same evidence was presented at both trials. It was a little different there was some extra evidence of, Ricky's, what he did to Alex. Now I can't even say the name Alex correctly anymore. What he did to Alex was presented at his trial, but yeah, and what they
But let
did.
me
Go ahead.
let me ask you, like, if, like, for instance, not, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
No, you're fine, babe.
what if Lori, okay, let's say Lori and Alex and Melanie had a conversation about JJ and Tylee being zombies or something like that, and Chad wasn't there. But in this conversation, Lori alludes to how, like something about how they get rid of zombies or whatever, how they deal with it. And Melanie is testifying about this conversation. Would she be able to testify about that at Chad's trial? Like those
Was
kind of things.
was the conversation between Melanie, Chad, and Lori?
No, Melanie, like say Melanie, Lori, Alex.
So no, because I think that would fall under the hearsay rule. And
Okay.
so she would be able to only talk about things that that Chad would have been present for at Chad's trial.
That's what I thought. So I
That
wonder if there will
for
be any of that for like kind of, you know, the gray in between the black and white.
Yeah, we're gonna have to watch. It'll be interesting. They can bring up both. They can K-Braze, they can bring up their individual acts, and they can bring up the acts that they did together. Um,
Okay.
what was I going to say? So what the judge did in that case is Ricky Chavez his trial was first and not televised, but Alec and Derek King's trial was televised. In fact, court TV covered it every single day, and I watched that trial every single day, and every single day my heart hurt for those boys
Oh
and for
my
their
God.
father, because what they did was they unalived him with a baseball bat, and then they set the trailer on fire. So it was bad. Yeah, it was
Oh,
bad.
that's very brutal.
Very. And what the judge did was he sealed the verdict from Ricky Chavez's case to be read at the same time as Derek and Alex King's verdict
Oh,
was read. So he read them at the same time. Hey, Truth Teller. Hey, Vanessa, Mama Bear, Amanda, Carol, everybody coming in. Kara, Mama Bear, Shmita,
will
Jules,
they do that? I
MK.
wonder this time. Wait and hold the verdict. Oh
They
gosh, I
can. They
hope.
can.
Mm,
They can. I mean,
yeah, interesting.
because
Truth
the
teller.
what's her Lori's attorney will probably advocate for that not to happen, because they'll be like, you know um that's not fair to Lori, and she has to wait in the look. Lori, let me just say something to you. Even if you are found not guilty on the unaliving of your children, which that's going to be a slim to none chance, they have other charges they have you up on, so you're going to be in the jail for a minute, lady.
Yes. And you've
Okay.
been indicted in Arizona. When you leave Idaho, honey, you still got to deal with
Correct.
Charles instead. So,
Correct. So you ain't done. And so if I were you, I wouldn't kick up too much dust if I were you, ma'am. Okay. And I don't know what you're doing in the jail there, but I know that they don't allow Botox in jail. And this is not a judgment. This is just good, healthy living tips for all women of a certain age. You need to drink more water, ma'am.
yes.
You need to hydrate. I don't know what the deal is, I know you got money on your books, so don't play. But yeah,
she's aged like 10 years
she's
in two
aged
years,
like
which also
milk.
stress probably. Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness.
Aged like milk.
Yeah,
So,
it's crazy.
okay, let me go find what we're looking for. Let
Yeah,
me get
so
over here.
we were, can I
Go
say,
ahead,
like,
babe.
we were
You
talking
talk.
about, so we
Do
were
all
just
the
gonna, I
talking.
just, no, you,
Do it
I
all.
just want to say that for like, cause I think some people probably haven't followed it closely. And Jen and I were just going to do the trial. And the other day, I think when I was live, I said something about why don't we do the preliminary hearing? Because you guys in this, there is so much, they've released a ton of evidence. I have a lot of hope that Brian Koberger's will look similar since it's the same state. Because at this pretrial hearing, I mean, we learned a lot. We heard from witnesses. It was a couple days of testimony, police officers who found the bodies, Lori's friend. We got a lot. So it'll be really fun to do this now. And then it'll also kind of prepare us for the trial.
Yes. It's a, so do we want the one where she testifies at Chad Daybell's preliminary hearing, or is there one for Lori Vallow too?
It was Chad because at the time, Lori was in the mental hospital.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Lori was over there at competency camp. I've forgotten about that.
Yep.
Getting ready to pretend that she's, yeah, whatever. Lori.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yep.
But this will be helpful because the truth of the matter is people hail Melanie as like a hero. If she hadn't have stepped in, the state wouldn't have had what they had. I don't know. I don't know if I 100% believe that. The fact of the matter is that there is, Melanie is looking a little shady boots, in my opinion, and I'm entitled to it. I,
Yep.
good for you to come forward, I guess, but maybe if you would have intervened and come forward sooner, when, like, part of the thing that annoys me is that when she was doing her interrogation, which Dr. B and I roasted, and it is under the True Crime Roast playlist. It's, I know that I can't remember if I have it on my channel or if it's on True Psych Word. Shmita, if you're in here, babe, would you do me a favor? Would you drop True Psych Word's link so people can, because a lot of our roasts are on her channel, and then some are on my channel, and they're all from, this is not me saying they're hilarious. This is other people telling me in the
Oh,
comments
they
that they're
are.
hilarious. So if you like that kind of thing, check it out.
The,
It's not intended to be serious. It's jokes the whole way through because these people are terrible.
They are
So,
hilarious, though. They are. It's just a nice way to talk about, like, because look, true crime can be pretty dark. So you guys make it easier to swallow doing that. You know what I mean? It's just a nice way to kind of look at it sometimes.
yes. And here's the thing. All right. This was an unanticipated side thing that occurred during Melanie's interrogation, Rose. What had happened is Melanie went in there and she had her hairs done. I think this is the
Oh.
Lori Vallow hairdo. That I think this is when Lori cut her hair. And she has these bangs, okay, but they're like these two chunks of bank, right? And they look like tuning forks, y'all. And the more that bullshit that comes out of her mouth, the more that they stick up and start to stick out. It's bad, and it's like a gauge. It's that's why I call her Melanie She Bangs Gibb, because of the
Oh
bang.
my God. It is so true. And they're sticking straight up.
They are. They are. It's like,
He said when
it's
Lori did her hair.
well, I watched their phone. You know that interview that they did of Chad Daybell on Feel the Fire, and you have Lori talking like this. Now I'm going to give you guys a when you hear me say it, I'm telling you, turn your volume down because you need to turn it down. But you have Lori, and she's like this. Hello, Chad. What was Jesus wearing when you saw him? Right, and then you have Melanie. hey, Chad, what's going on? You know, she's like right up on the
Yes.
mic and incredibly loud and annoying. So
Their podcast. Some of their podcast.
this is their podcast and it's really bad. And the fact of the matter is a little bit, it is true. True crime is really heavy, but there are moments in true crime where there is some levity, and Melanie's bangs provide that level levity. And I could not thank you, Sam. I could not miss an opportunity to crack on her bangs. At first, I thought I was just seeing things. So I waited a little bit before I started to comment on the bangs because at first I was like, well, maybe there's air movement in there. Like something is obviously not right here. But the more I watched, the more I got distracted. I'm telling y'all, the bangs be telling the truth. Evil lurks. So excited for this, Allie. I can't wait to cover this case with you. All right, here we go. Let me turn the closed captions on just in case. And
please come forward. You can come here through the gate on this side.
Oh, wait.
If you'll stand here in front of this plexiglass, raise your right arm. And
I lied. We have to do one thing first. Hold on. We have to have a word from our sponsor. Okay, hold on.
And Kyle, when you're on Jen Lou's channel, what do you do with the like button?
Smash, smash, smash. Yeah.
Oh my God. His face. That was pretty good. I like that.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Now, for real, we're doing this. And just so y'all know, regardless of whether if we get audio from Vallow, that's fine because I'll be clipping that audio and y'all know that I will make a compilation and it will be serious and hilarious at the same time, hopefully, like I did with what's his name? Alec Murdoch.
Face the clerk.
Right away, she's wearing her mask incorrectly. Way to go, Melanie.
Ms. Gibb, I didn't hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Gibb, you can be seated here at this witness chair.
Oh, they get a nice, comfy witness chair.
Ms. Gibb, if you'll scoot up to that microphone and then pull it down below your chin and aim it at your chin.
Okay.
Mr. Wood and Mr. Pryor, I think the record isn't picking up your voices as well as it is everybody else's. So if you'll do the same, pull that down and then point it up at your chin, it makes a much better record.
Jen.
If you'll pull it down,
yes.
Mr.
I got a
Pryor,
question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Just before we listen to her, do you believe that she did this to get out of charges potentially?
Yes.
Me too, because do you remember what Chad Daybell's lawyer said? Like he kind of alluded to the fact that she may have, and he wanted any of the paperwork that had to do with anyone making any deals and all. So I believe she might have too.
I think you're right. Mama Bear too. So Melanie is Lori's best friend, but let me just say this. I don't know how good of friends they were because when they're doing that, I'll find the link for the Feel the Fire podcast. Okay. So I can send it to you guys, and you need to be watching Melanie's face. Melanie is like leering at Lori. First, I don't know if it's because she didn't like her haircut. I don't know what her deal is, but yeah, she's technically she goes by the I'm the best friend, but I don't know. She doesn't seem like she actually really likes Lori or Chad. I think she might have liked Chad. I think that might be what the salt is about. I'm not sure. Also, this question I wanted to ask. I asked Allie this, and I've been trying to think of the name of this thing for days now. And I used to know the name of it, but I don't know what the word is. So, you know, when you have like a hot, like a cookie sheet, right? And you want to put it on your counter. What is the thing that you put underneath the cookie sheet between the counter and the cookie sheet so that you don't burn up your counter? What is that called? And while y'all think of that, I'm going to push play.
This is serious.
It's been driving me nuts.
Like this. so that you don't talk over it. Mr. Wood, you may inquire when you're ready.
Thank you. Will you state your name and spell it for the record?
Not the-
Melanie Gibb,
hold on.
Gibb.
Not the cooling rack.
Um,
Excuse me, Melanie. I don't want to interrupt you. Not the cooling rack. Hot pad. Thank you. Thank you. That's what it is. Hot pad. Thank you.
Ms. Gibb, are you familiar with the defendant, Chad Daybell?
Yes,
Approximately when did you meet him?
about
A trivet? I've never, no, that's not right.
4
That's
years
not what
ago.
I call it. That sounds very fancy. I might change
Do you
that.
remember where you met him?
yes.
A
I was
trivet.
in Morgan, Utah.
Okay.
Pot holder. Okay.
Since you've met him, what is the nature of your relationship?
Tiffany.
The nature of our relationship was talking about some of the books that Chad had written and his relationship with Lori.
You mentioned Lori. Is that Lori Vallow?
Correct.
Okay. Approximately when did you meet Lori Vallow?
October 2018.
And do you recall where you met her?
Yes, in Mesa, Arizona at a church.
Okay. What was the basis of your relationship with Lori Vallow?
I hated her.
It was based upon things that we talked about, which were spiritual in nature.
Would you call yourself, were you friends with Lori Vallow?
Yes,
Are you familiar, or do you know if Lori Vallow had any children?
yes,
Are you familiar with Tylee Ryan?
yes,
Did you ever meet Tylee Ryan?
yes,
And did you ever have opportunity to see Tylee Ryan with Lori Vallow?
yes,
And was Tylee Ryan Lori Vallow's daughter?
yes.
Can
Ms.
you
Gibb, when
imagine
the
if she
last
was
time
hooked
you
up to
saw
a
Tylee
lie
Ryan?
detector?
July or August
Uh,
of 2019.
When she
didn't
when
like
she's-
Tylee.
Where was that?
Right, when she said she
in
was
her
friends
house
with
in
Lori
Chandler, Arizona.
and like Tylee, she would have gotten a whole shock. That thing would have went up in
Are you
5 minute
familiar
flames.
with JJ Vallow?
Yes,
Who is JJ Vallow?
Lori's adopted son.
Okay.
Yeah, the one
When
she
you
called a
spent time
drug
with
baby.
Lori, did you
Right,
have
exactly.
occasion to
Ugh.
spend time with JJ at all?
Yes,
Okay.
Let's put them at 1.25.
Ms. Gibb, I want to call your attention
Skip the
to-
pauses.
Well, do you recall where you were between the dates of September 19th, 2019 and September 23rd, 2019?
yes,
Where were you?
Rexburg, Idaho.
Why were you there?
I was there to visit Lori. I was also there to be at an event called Firm Foundation,
Okay. Do you recall when you arrived in Rexburg?
Thursday, the 19th.
And do you know approximately when you left Rexburg?
Yes, I left Monday, the 23rd, around 9:30 in the morning.
That's oddly specific.
When you were in
Nervous.
Rexburg, where did you
Mhm.
stay?
In Lori Vallow's house.
Do you recall the address of that house?
No,
Do you recall the general location of that house?
In
there was a
Rexburg.
townhome. I don't know the name of the street.
Okay. Was that townhome located in Rexburg, Idaho?
Yes,
During that weekend,
We don't like her either, Mama Bear
did
too.
you have opportunity to spend time with Lori?
yes.
Okay. About how much time did you spend with Lori that weekend?
Most of the time, except for on Saturday, I spent most of the day, about 10 hours up the street at that
Dating.
event.
Okay.
First of all, most of the day
When you were at
is
Lori Vallow's house, did you
a
ever
day
have
is
occasion
24
to
hours,
see
ma'am, but
Chad
okay.
Daybell there?
Yes,
Okay. Do you recall approximately how many times you saw him there that weekend?
Look at his face.
2,
Did
3,
you
4
see
times
that?
maybe.
Okay. So you don't recall an exact number?
Not an exact number, but I think every day. I think every day is probably, except for the Monday.
Okay. And was Monday, September 23rd?
Yes,
Did you have occasion to witness Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell interact with each other?
Yes,
How did they interact with each other?
affectionately,
Okay, and when you say affectionately, what do you mean by
I
that?
think I glanced away the
Um,
very second it went
holding
on him.
hands. Hugging, light
His
kissing.
eyes got
Okay.
big. Like he made a
Did you ever have
face to
occasion to
her.
speak with,
I don't know.
when
It's
you
weird.
were,
I have to
during
go
this
back.
for approximately 4-day period in September,
Mm.
did you ever have occasion to speak with Lori Vallow about the nature of her relationship with Chad Daybell?
Yes, we talked about it often,
Okay. What did she tell you about that relationship?
that they were very much in love with each other and wanted to be together as soon as possible.
Okay, and did you ever speak with Mr. Daybell about that relationship?
Most likely, but I can't recall the exact words.
Okay. Ms. Gibb, during that September
Miss
19th,
Gibb, how long have you been
23rd,
messy?
2019
Talking to
period,
both
did you ever see
couples?
Tylee
That's
Ryan?
weird.
No,
Yeah.
Did you speak with Lori Vallow about the location of Tylee Ryan?
she informed me that Tylee was at BYU, Idaho, and mentioned something about being with friends.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When you were, during that same period, did you have occasion to see JJ Vallow?
Yes,
Where was he located when you saw him?
Hey,
he was in the
Punksy.
family room mostly, and then outside some.
Hey, everybody coming in.
Okay,
Karen,
when
good
you
to
say the
see
family
you.
room, can you be more specific?
The room that's
Aries
adjacent to the
Bjork.
kitchen.
Okay, and what home was that located in?
I miss
Lori
saying
Bell's
hi
home.
to everybody because it's hard on this side of, you know what I mean? You
Ms.
can't
Gibb,
type.
It
in addition to
is.
the night of September 22nd, 2019. Do you recall what you did that night?
Ms. Gibb, you're facing the state. I'm going to invite you to turn your chair just a little bit so that I can
This way?
see you
Oh, this way?
this way, so that I can see your face as you're speaking. I recognize you're answering Mr. Wood's questions, but I need to see your face as well as you're answering. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's
what did
not,
you do the
you're
night
still
of
not
September
looking at
22nd,
him.
2019?
The night of the 22nd, I was doing a
This is
recording
the-
with Lori and David Warwick. And
Okay,
we
Lori,
were in the kitchen,
Lori, Melanie,
recording.
Melanie, clearly your chair turns, ma'am. Just turn your chair. Why are you
Yeah.
so awkward? You, oh,
Yeah.
I can't.
Who is David Warwick?
So awkward.
This is
Boyfriend of mine?
important.
Okay.
Oh,
a
a boyfriend of mine.
Yes,
Was Mr. Daybell there
Mm.
during the recording cast?
no,
Oh,
do you
that
recall-
took a long, too long.
I did not see him.
Did you see Alex Cox that night?
Yes,
Okay, what did you witness, or what did you observe Alex Cox doing that night?
he brought JJ into the house during the middle of the podcast.
Okay.
This is that
And-
last night.
And did you see him bring JJ
Mhm.
into the house?
Yes,
Okay. Um,
Hey,
Was
welcome
Jake,
in, Teresa Walton. Good to see you.
how did Alex Cox bring JJ into the house?
he carried him in
Okay.
and he was asleep.
And
Just may have occurred, but I'm trying to get a foundation of the time again. And I apologize if I missed it.
Mr. Breyer, I'm having a hard
Of
time
course,
hearing you. Do you mind pulling the
Breyer.
microphone down and then aim up at your chin? There you go. Repeat that one more time.
Judge, I missed the time, and I can't recall which time she said if she did, when that occurred with Alex getting the baby. I don't recall.
All right.
I'll lay more foundation, Your Honor.
I didn't know if you did or not. I thought I may have missed it.
Please do.
Ms. Gibb, do you recall about what time?
Hey,
Alex
Seth, good
Cox
to
brought
see
JJ
you.
Back into to Lori Vallow's home?
I can say we recorded the podcast between 9 and after midnight, a little after midnight. So someone in between that time.
Okay. You don't remember the exact hour?
I don't.
I'm going to call your attention to the morning of September 23rd, 2019.
Oh my gosh, this just gives me the
What
worst
did
feeling in
you-
my stomach.
I
the morning
know,
of
I
September
know.
23rd, 2019.
Upon awakening, I got ready for the day and came downstairs, had a brief conversation with Lori Vallow, and then got into the truck with David, and we drove off to Pocatello.
Okay. What was your conversation? Do you recall the content of your conversation with Lori Vallow that morning?
Yes,
And do you recall approximately what time you had this conversation with Lori Vallow?
sometime between 8 and 9.
Okay. What did you speak about with Ms. Vallow that morning?
She shared with David and I that JJ was acting with a lot of energy and I'm trying to remember the words, but she recalled him climbing upon the refrigerator knocking a picture down of Jesus, she said, and then climbing up upon the cabinets.
Okay. And did you see JJ that morning?
No,
Do you know if he was in the house that morning?
no,
And do you have
Lies.
any idea of where he was that morning?
no.
Okay.
I
Over
don't
the course of
believe
that
it either.
weekend,
None
did
of
you
us
ever have a
believe her.
conversation with Lori Vallow about Kay Woodcock?
Yes,
What was the nature of that? Do you remember when during that weekend you had that conversation?
Friday, Saturday, it could have been
Okay.
several of the days. I'm not sure.
What was the nature of that conversation?
She was expressing that she wanted JJ to go live with Kay, and she expressed different solutions. He could either stay with Kay, or I believe a son of Kay's that had a family already that JJ was comfortable with, or that they liked JJ and it was a good match. I think they had a little girl, and she said that she would express to Kay that that she was sick or something was wrong with her, so that she could.
Oh,
live with
wow,
him.
David, that's
So,
interesting.
so that who could live with?
JJ could live with Kay.
Okay. And at any time
Yes,
after that
I
weekend, did you
seen
ever have a
that.
follow-up
Yep.
conversation
I'll
in
have to
regards
check that out.
to that subject?
Yes,
They seem brainwashed
Do
or
you remember
something
approximately when you
bizarre.
had that follow-up
Okay.
conversation?
it was shortly after. I can't recall.
What was the nature of that follow-up conversation?
I asked how it went, giving JJ to Kay. She told me that they met up in an airport, and she told Kay that she had breast cancer and that she would need help with JJ
Oh
for a
my
period of time. And she said it went well.
Okay.
Okay. So was it your
So this is my problem with Melanie. Okay. Your friend here is telling you literal lies. That she, I mean, you know they're lies. You know that let's say that actually took place. That conversation between Lori and Kay took place, right? Now, Melanie, you know damn right well that there was no breast cancer.
Yep.
This is why I'd be getting mad at Melanie, because you have your friend here who is lying to you about things, you know they're lies. And yet you're just like going along with it, out here recording podcasts like nothing is wrong. This is why people are not have a problem with you, Melanie, because
Yes. Like the
this
Jesus
is
picture. Come on, lady.
yes,
Really?
exactly. Who hangs? Listen, I don't have any pictures of Jesus in my house. It's not because I don't believe or anything like that. The only thing that's religious in my house is a crucifix from my grandmother's funeral that the priest blessed. Okay, I got to keep that. But I don't know that I would have a picture of Jesus on my refrigerator. But it's such an odd story to relate. Like it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, and he just happens to knock Jesus down when he's a zombie. It's like, oh, he's really evil, and you believed that, Melanie. You did not believe that. That is just
Right. That's the thing that. Oh, thank you, Punksy. Welcome to the Kookaloos. Thank you for joining membership. That's my beef with Melanie. These are weird like weird details that don't make any sense.
Yep.
Like she totally added in that he knocked Jesus down as if that's indicative of some type of evil force going on with him.
Yep.
So, thank you very much, Seth. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's so generous of you. Thank you very much. Yeah, like it's a weird bullshit ass detail. I'm sorry. I tried.
Yep.
I think I made it past the time. Oh yeah, we're 36 minutes in. I can cuss, but just a little. I got it. They've changed. YouTube is cracking. That's the hill for YouTube is cussing. All this
I
other
know.
malarkey going on out here in these YouTube streets, but
You
cussing.
You got to fill me in on the details of that later, because I don't actually know, and I heard a little bit, so I want to be careful of whatever.
I meant to click. There's a whole thing in Studio that I need to click, but yeah, I'll fill you in. I'll click it and then fill you in.
understanding
Well, I'll
after
look
that
at mine
conversation?
too.
JJ Vallow was
Okay.
located with Kay Woodcock.
Yes,
And had you ever met Kay Woodcock?
briefly.
When?
The time that Charles Vallow was moving out of his house.
Okay, so Mama Bear, the deal with the zombies is it's like their version essentially of being possessed. It's
Yes.
not that they were, on anything. It's just that that's the term they use for a person who it has some type of evil.
Yep.
They're possessed. That's the only way I know how to describe it. So yeah. All right.
Yeah, and
That's their term.
they were they were religious, but they had created a new version of Mormonism, and
Yes.
it was very bizarre. And they had scales of light to dark. Remember that, Chad telling Lori
Yes.
how dark they were, and yeah, it was weird stuff like that.
Yes. They're what they did is they took tenets of the Mormon faith, like Mormons believe when a couple is married in the church, but they call it's not it's in the temple,
Temple.
that they're sealed together in this lifetime and for all eternity. So when they pass away, there's also different levels of heaven, and the top tier of heaven is the celestial heaven. I think I'll have to look it back up. I used to know. I used to have a Mormon, a couple of Mormon missionaries, and they would come by and we would talk. It's fascinating to learn about them. Really, they were trying to get me to go to their church, but I found their religion to be fascinating, and they would just let me ask all kinds of questions. So I did. But anyway,
I did that with Jehovah's Witness. Like, I studied the Bible with the lady for like months because it was so interesting.
It's
But the same kind of
interesting.
thing.
It's
Mhm.
interesting. So what they did was they took tenets of that faith, and in my the because of what they did with it, in my opinion, it was warped. They warped the tenets of the Mormon faith and made it into something completely, scales of light and dark, zombies, all the
Yep.
things. And what ended up happening is there's, a bunch of bodies
Portals.
and, and portals and let, that Chad and Lori left in their wake due to their beliefs. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's,
Very sad.
in Arizona
it's
to
very sad.
Texas,
And who was Charles Vallow?
Lori's husband.
Okay. Ms. Gibb, I'm going to call your attention to the date of November 26, 2019. Do you recall where you were?
I'll be right back.
where you
I'm just
were
going to
on
mute, but
November
I'll be in
26,
chat. I'll just
2019?
be right back.
I do.
2 seconds.
Where were you?
Okay.
I was in Pleasant Grove, Utah, in David Warwick's home.
Okay.
I think this is their phone call that's recorded.
Now, do you
Maybe.
live in Utah?
No,
Where do you normally live?
Gilbert, Arizona.
Okay. And so were you visiting Mr. Warwick that day?
Yes.
Did anything significant happen that day in regards to Chad Daybell?
Yes.
Okay. What
Yes, it
contact, if
did.
any, did you have with Mr. Daybell that day?
I received a phone call from Chad Daybell from his cell phone to my cell phone, and I answered the phone call.
Okay. And do you
She
recall
recorded it
approximately
to
what time
keep
it
her
was?
ass from
Late
getting in
morning.
trouble because she went along with their story at
And
first.
you said you got a call from his cell phone.
Mhm.
How do you know it was his cell phone?
Because when the phone number came up, it had his name on it.
Okay. And was that a contact you had previously stored in your cell phone?
Yes.
And was
She allowed them to
Ms.
think
Gibb,
that
had you
she had
previously had any
JJ
discussions with
at
Mr.
first.
Daybell through that same phone number?
Yes.
She told police she did until it got
Do you
trouble
recall what
started
that phone number
coming.
was?
Yes. It was 208-690-9374.
And I may have already asked this, I apologize if I did. Approximately what time were you called by Mr. Daybell that day?
Late morning.
Okay. What was the nature of that conversation?
He said, "Hi, Melanie, this is Chad. The Rexburg police."
Okay, so what Allie is, I wanted to pause it so you guys could hear Allie because she's got the sweetest, softest voice. But explain
you.
this testimony, Allie, so they can hear you, babe.
Okay, so before this, when police first got the heads up that the kids were missing, Lori claimed to police that JJ was with Melanie. Melanie actually talked to police and went along with that at first and said, yes, he's with me. We're just whatever. She went along with it at first. Well, then when the water started getting hot, she changed her mind. I believe that is why she wanted to record this phone call we're about to hear, because you will hear her saying, like, where's JJ? You know, and why didn't she's really focused on clearing her name. You can totally tell by her tone and what she says. And that's just my opinion, but that is the facts. Like, she did go along, you know what I mean? But
I have to say, I 100% agree with Allie. This call was, when you hear it, you'll completely understand what we're talking about. So I'm just going to let it play. But yes, this was absolutely a, I need to save my butt moment for Miss Gibb over here.
We're going to call you. Don't pick up. He
Okay.
said, oh,
Where did the conversation go from there?
he let me know that the police were over at Lori Vallow's home in Rexburg, and that they were inquiring about where JJ was, and that she was going to tell the police that JJ was with me.
Okay, how did you respond?
In shock, and I can't recall if I said anything at that moment. Oh, I did say after the shock, I said, JJ's not at Kay's house.
And how did Mr. Daybell respond to that?
He said no.
Okay. Was there any other content to that conversation?
I asked him if he was nervous, and he said yes.
Okay. Was anything else said?
I can't recall.
why would she say, are you
That same
nervous?
day, November 26, 2019, did you have any contact?
So I was wrong. They're talking about, right, this is the first call where she agrees to
Mhm.
say she has JJ. But why would she ask them during that call, are you nervous? Like,
Right.
why would she? That's crazy.
See, these are the little tiny details that, when cases, this case was going to take forever no matter what. Even if everything had gone smoothly, it was going to take a while to move through the through the court system. Sorry, I have to move my fan. Anyway, it was going to be a minute. But these are the little details that get lost, but they're really actually very important details. So I'm really glad that we
Yeah.
decided to do this, because we would have, hey Mallory, hey Marshall, Death, hello to everybody coming in. It's great to have you here. Thank you so much. And on your way in, if you could give your girl a thumbs up, I totally appreciate it. Please. I'll make me bust out Kai again.
You're
But
so
yeah,
right. I forgot about that.
I forgot
Like-
about this too. I forgot about this. So there's two calls.
Contact?
Yep.
Only one
Lori
is
Vallow.
recorded.
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember approximately when you
Thank you,
first moved in
ATS.
from Lori Vallow?
Yes, I was in the same place.
Where,
And
okay, and where was that again?
that was in Utah, in David's home.
And approximately what time did you hear from Lieutenant Vallow? Lori Vallow?
I possibly within an hour or two, I can't exactly recall.
Okay. And when you say an hour or two, what is that in reference to?
Her calling me, Lori calling me.
Right, was it an hour or two after what?
I'm sorry, Chad's phone call.
Okay. What was the nature of that conversation?
When I picked up, she said, hi, Melanie, this is, well, she probably didn't say her name, but she said, just want to let you know everything's fine. She was upbeat, cheery, acting like nothing was wrong.
What happened after that?
She told me that the police had been there asking for JJ, and that she told the police that I had JJ, that I was at a movie called Frozen, that she asked me just to pick up my phone and take a random picture of kids running around. And that she would
Fucking bitch.
come by
Oh,
and
excuse my
pick him
language.
up,
Oh
and
my God.
then, no, sorry, that after me driving home from Utah to Arizona, that she would come and get him later that week.
I'm going to stop right there. He's good.
I'm going to also stop you right there, Miss Gibb, because I'm having a little trouble understanding here. You either remember or you don't. So you say you don't remember, and then you're giving, like, you don't remember what you said, you don't remember when it happened, but you remember all these wild details. Oh, okay.
Yeah. take
Yeah.
a picture of kids running around, like, oh, that's
Right.
normal and okay.
And that wasn't a red flag to you. The fact that you were told that JJ was in one place, and that the reason given to the person that you were told that he was with Kay was that Lori had breast cancer, which you knew was a lie. Then you get two random calls from one Lori Vallow and one Chad Daybell, and they're asking you to lie. And you don't think something is odd and maybe you should not lie for them. You helped. You gave them time.
Point you're back to this conversation or the statement about picking up your phone.
Couldn't have done it without her.
Take a picture of random kids
Exactly.
to make it look like it was JJ.
Okay. And I kind of lost track. I apologize.
That's okay.
You said something about driving down to Arizona. What was that part of the conversation? Who said what?
So she knew that I was going down to Arizona for Thanksgiving, back to my home. And she said that she told the police that she was going to pick him up from my house from Arizona, which I had no previous knowledge to this. This was new information to me.
Okay. Did Lori say anything else to you about JJ?
I can't recall exactly, but I can recall what she talked about Kay.
Okay. Okay. What did she say about Kay?
She said that Kay was trying to kidnap JJ. And I said, how do you know? And she said, well, I've received emails, being threatened that he was going to kidnap her. I said, well, what did she say? And she said, well, she sent me emails, and she said, she quoted Kay saying, it's not like I'm going to kidnap him or anything. And that she was trying to protect JJ and from her and other people, not just Kay, but possibly family members as well.
Okay. And you said that to your perception, she seemed upbeat and positive. Were those the words you used?
Yes.
Hold on.
To your perception.
But you literally testified like 10 minutes ago. I don't know. I sort of blank out on time when it comes to Melanie because she irritates the hell out of me. But you just testified earlier that Lori told you that she let JJ go with Kay. But now Lori is scared that Kay is going to kidnap her. And her source for these alleged threats are Kay saying in an email, it's not like I'm going to kidnap him.
Yeah.
You even hear yourself, Melanie?
That you didn't say, wait a minute. I thought Kay had JJ. No,
right.
You just went, oh, wait, what else happened? Come on, Melanie.
Right. This is what's interesting about this. I actually think this part might be true. I do think that she sat around and cahooted with Lori and Chad. That part I think is true. I think those conversations did take place, but I don't think that they took place in the context that she's trying to portray it as. I think it was more of a cahooting, plotting, planning, not oh my God, Lori just called me out of the blue and then she said all these things and I was like, whoa, no, Melanie. I'd be glad I'm not Idahoan. Because if I was on this jury, you'd be in big trouble, ma'am.
When you spoke with Mr. Daybell, how did he sound?
She's not even up for trial.
Trouble. Huge trouble.
After receiving these phone calls, how did that make you feel?
Horrible. I felt in shock. I was not okay with it because she told something to the police that was not true, which I had no knowledge of. So I had a really bad feeling in my stomach, and I felt very shooken up by it.
Okay.
Then I went forward to lie too.
They did.
Okay. How did they try to contact you?
They tried
and then I wiretapped her ass.
Once, I believe they left a text.
Okay. And did you respond to them that day?
Not the Rexburg police. I did not.
Okay. How come? Is there a reason?
Well, first of all, Chad tells me not to answer it, and then Lori tells me that her child is in danger. So I'm not sure what to believe or understand what's going on this time. I'm very confused.
Okay.
That's why you talked to the
Did you speak to
popo.
any law enforcement that day?
Yes,
Oh.
What interaction did you have? Do you know which law enforcement agency you spoke with that day?
Gilbert Police.
Okay, and do you recall if there was a specific individual you spoke with that day from Gilbert Police?
Officer Ryan Pillar.
I'm sorry, can you say that?
Officer Ryan Pillar.
Ryan Pillar?
Correct.
And do you know how that last name is spelled?
Pillar, or there could be a Y, so I'm not for sure.
What contact did you have with?
Now you're just throwing
Officer
random
Pillar?
vowels in there. What?
He called me. and left a
Well, yeah, where
message
does
and
the
I
Y go?
returned his phone.
In Pillar.
What was the nature of your conversation with Officer
Blessed.
Pillar?
He was responding to the Rexburg Police and was asking about JJ and his whereabouts.
Okay, and what did you tell him?
I told him that I had
Did
been
you
with
tell me
JJ,
we're a
but that
lying
he was
liar
back with
face
Lori.
that tells lies?
She said, I
When
told
you-
him
when you
I've
said
been
you'd
with,
been with him, what
JJ's
did-
with me,
Let's
basically.
rewind
What did you
that.
mean
Let's
JJ, but
rewind
that
that
he was
back.
asking about JJ and his whereabouts.
by that? Okay, and what did you tell him?
I told him that I had been with JJ, but that he was back with Lori.
Okay.
So you covered,
Um,
you lied to law enforcement. Okay.
When you said you had been with him, what did you mean by that?
That he was with me, and then she came to get him.
So you
Okay.
lied.
So that it would turn the police back to Rexburg and not with me, because I,
Oh, because
Now-
you what? Because you what?
Ms. Gibb?
You were
Oh
you
my
complicit
recently had
God.
in
JJ
some
with you.
bullshit.
So when you told
The
Detective
nerve.
Pillar that you had,
Mm-hmm.
was that an accurate statement?
no, it was not.
Okay. And did you believe that JJ was actually with you?
Look, here's the deal. That's a very nice way to put it. Was that an accurate statement? If it were me, I would have been like, did you lie? Oh, you did? Okay.
Lori at
She
that
needs
time?
charges.
I
I'm
was not
sorry,
sure.
she does.
She does.
So was that, pursuant to the knowledge you had, was that an accurate statement?
Yeah,
But did you also tell Detective Pillar that JJ was not with you?
correct.
And was that an accurate statement?
Yes,
Is there a reason you told Detective Pillar you had him?
yes, because Lori was misleading and she was manipulating me or trying to convince me
Oh,
that
my.
he and she was in danger. And so because of our friendship, I thought, I have really no idea if this could be true or not. And I was very perplexed, very troubled. And I
Girl,
really did not know what to do. I was
Spell
trying
perplexed.
to reconcile all these feelings. I
Yeah.
had.
She
Please
looked
spell
that up
perplexed.
last night.
Since
She looked that
Pillar,
up last night.
she probably
Did you have any
did.
subsequent?
Since Pillar was hard for you to
contact with
spell.
The Gilbert Police
Yeah.
Department?
Yes,
I think there might be a
And do you
Y or a
recall
Q in there
approximately
somewhere.
when that
Where?
I believe it was December 7th or 8th.
And
Okay.
listen, y'all,
And
let me
what-
just
what
say this
contact did you have
for
with
anybody
the Gilbert
that's
Police
new. Hold on.
Department?
I called Officer Pillar.
You called Officer Pillar. Look, even YouTube's trying to help you, ma'am. That's how it's spelled. I want anybody that's new to my channel to understand this. I am not at all making light of this crime at all. It's heinous, it's despicable, it's extra foul because those kids Lori was supposed to protect, she was their mother. And she is wrong for what she's done. All the things that she's done. But I can't take listening to Melanie just be up here lying like a whole rug. And so when she says something like she says that is just completely outlandish, like
Yeah.
I was perplexed. Really? You were perplexed? That's what perplexed you? But you got you were so perplexed that you covered for your friend. That's like, I can't not say something about that. And sometimes the things that come out of my mouth make other people laugh. It's not intentional.
sorry.
I'm not making a joke.
I'm so sorry. That's my fault. Can't
It's
help
not
it.
your fault. It's not your fault. Some of the stuff I said, I'm not like, but I take this case seriously. I just want you guys to know that. So does
We know
Allie.
that.
Allie takes this case very seriously, but we don't take
Yeah.
Melanie Gibb seriously. She's caca.
Not at all.
Period.
Pillar.
She
Not
said
even
some
a
really
little.
I
some
informed
dumb,
him
dumb stuff.
that who I was
Yes.
and that
Hey, Ashton. Good to see you.
probably a lot more detail about the conversation about what happened. about JJ and Lori and Chad. And I also had something that I had recorded that I wanted to give to him.
Okay. Let's talk about that. What had you recorded that you wanted to give to?
I'm
Officer
guilty of
Phillips?
I
wiretapping.
recorded a conversation with Chad and Lori on Chad Daybell's phone, about 21-minute conversation. And that conversation was about, where was JJ? The conversation talked about, why did you tell the police that I had JJ when I did not? And she explained that. And I also explained to her my concern for her salvation and Chad's,
Oh, sweet
and that they had been
Jesus.
very deceived. And I also wanted to make sure that the police knew that I did not have anything to do with this.
And there it is.
There's
the truth.
Exactly.
On a cell phone.
It's not your business to be
okay.
worrying about other
You mentioned
people's
earlier, the
salvation. You
conversation
should
was
be
on
worrying about
Chad's-
your own, you
was
lying
it
liar
Chad's number?
mouth.
Correct.
Was that the same number you discussed earlier?
Correct.
And what phone did you use to have this conversation?
My phone, and then I had a recorder phone on David Warwick's, and so I put my phone on speaker, and then I recorded it with his phone.
Okay. Had law enforcement asked you to record a conversation with Mrs. Vallow or Mr. Daybell?
No.
No, because
So
that
this
would
is
be
something you did your own accord?
wiretapping.
Yes.
Okay.
Look
Do
at
you
him.
remember, and
Which
you've
is,
already
it,
answered this,
it looks like any minute
what
he's
day
gonna,
you
a
made that
fly is
recording?
gonna buzz
December
and he's
8th.
gonna stick his
And where
tongue
were
out
you
and get
located
it,
when you made that recording?
like a frog.
I was in David Warwick's home.
I'm sorry, where?
I was in David's home.
Oh, okay, David Warwick's home.
Yes.
Okay, I apologize, I misheard you. And again, is that the same home in Pleasant Grove, Utah?
Had to
Yes.
mute to laugh.
Your Honor, the state would ask that
Here we go,
States exhibit
y'all.
that is in
Listen
markings,
to this
exhibit
awkward
19
shit.
be
I'll be
shown to
right
the
back.
defense and
This
handed
time I'm
to
having a
the witness.
cigarette. I'm just gonna be honest. Okay.
Okay, and
I
I'm
need
gonna
one.
listen to it and be right back too, because I'm gonna
Okay.
take care of some stuff with Bentley,
Exhibit
but I got
19
it
is
in my
being handed to the
earbud.
witness.
Because Lori, I mean, because Melanie is
Ms.
a
Gibb,
whole
do you
lying liar
recognize,
mouth who tells
the
lies.
state's
This is the
exhibit
most
19?
awkward
Yes.
awkward
Have you seen it
conversation
before?
ever.
Yes.
Have
Hi,
you,
sweet Melanie.
reviewed the contents of that
Like,
disc?
oh, Dad.
And when did you,
Yeah.
when did you review the contents of
Weirdos.
that disc?
All right,
Yes, sir.
hold on.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
And what is on that disc?
It's the exact conversation that I recorded on my phone.
Okay, and is that the same conversation you shared with law enforcement?
Yes.
And was it Detective Pillar that you shared that with?
Yes.
And the recording on that disc, is it a true and accurate representation of the original recording you made?
Yes.
Your Honor, the state would ask that State's Exhibit 19 be entered into evidence. No objection.
Exhibit 19 will be admitted.
Your Honor, the state would request that Exhibit 19 be published.
Would you like to publish that on the screen here that's hanging on the wall?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is there video and audio or just audio?
Just audio.
Miss Warwick, or excuse me, Miss Gibb, if you'll hand that exhibit to Madam Bailiff. Madam Bailiff, was there another disc in there?
Yes.
Will you please hand that disc to Mr. Wood so that he can identify it and we can make sure that that gets put into evidence?
Your Honor, that is State's Exhibit 14. It's no longer in the case with the marker.
Okay.
Your Honor, would you like me to hand this to the bailiff or?
Yes, please hand it to the bailiff. Madam Bailiff, do you have the envelope that shows, okay, Exhibit 14? All right, and Madam Bailiff, or Mr. Wood, the disc that has been placed in the television at this point is Exhibit 19, is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
You're moving to publish that?
Yes.
Mr. Pryor, any objection to publishing Exhibit 19?
No objection, Judge. Thank you.
You may proceed, Mr. Wood.
Thank you.
We'll be back on the record in State versus Daybell. The court took a brief recess to cool the courtroom down, the air conditioner, as well as to allow Mr. Wood some time to get his technology ready. Mr. Wood, do you wish to proceed with publishing Exhibit 19?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may do so.
This is a recording on December 8th at 3:43 p.m. And I am calling Chad Daybell's phone number, and hopefully I will be talking to both of them, Chad and Lori. So here goes the phone call.
Hello, sweet Melanie.
Hi, Chad. Hey, Lori. How
Hey,
are
let me put that speaker.
Oh, okay.
All right.
We're enough with the phone. How are you guys?
We're okay. How are you doing, babe?
I'm doing pretty good, thanks. I was wondering, where are you guys?
We're just hanging out.
Hanging out? Are you in Idaho?
We're near Idaho.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to ask you a question, if you don't mind, Lori.
Yeah, of course.
I want to know, you remember we talked about JJ going to Kay's house, and you told me they went there, and now he's not there? I was wondering what happened.
Well, I had to move him somewhere else because of her actions. So,
Was she doing something? Like, was she trying to come get him or something, or like trying to kidnap him?
well, she said that lots of times before, but
Okay. Well, when I asked Chad the other day, I was like, hey, where is JJ? And he said, for my security, he didn't want me to know. So is there a reason I should be in danger to know where he is?
no, it's nobody. It's his danger. It's the danger that there's people after me.
Okay.
We just felt that if you knew, that puts you in a danger.
Well, just in a bad position.
Yeah, bad position.
Everybody, if they don't know anything, then they don't have to say they know.
Right. So you're just worried. Okay.
I'm just to keep him protected and
keep you protected.
keep everybody else good.
I appreciate that. Well, I was wondering why you told the police why he was with me.
I just needed to have somebody so I wouldn't have to tell them where he really was, because they were going to tell Kay where he is.
Oh, yeah. So do you think it's like your family, or, like your family, your dad, or, those
Well, my
people?
family, well, not my whole family, but as you know, most of my family is working against me and with her, basically.
Yeah. Is JJ safe?
He is safe and happy.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. Are you afraid of anything? Like, are you afraid to tell me that you're just afraid that that I could be in danger? Like like I don't, like if I knew, like how could that hurt me? I don't understand how that could hurt me if I knew where he was.
Well, I'm just not telling anybody so that nobody has to say where he is or get questioned to where he is, so I can keep him as safe as possible.
Yeah. Okay, I hope that he's okay. I hope you guys are okay. I did have a question that I asked Al at one point, your brother, if I wanted to know, like where he was, and he said I did not want to know, and that he could not be found. So what does that mean?
I don't know why he would say that, but it's the same story. Like I don't even want Al to know. I don't want anybody to know, so that nobody has to be worried about it. I mean, nobody has to be questioned about it, so he can be safe.
Yeah. So how long are you gonna be away for? Like, are you ever gonna be able to come out and come back to society again? Or are you gonna keep, come back? What does that look like?
I will do whatever the Lord needs me to do every day. So
I just wondered if I was ever gonna see you again.
Absolutely will.
Okay. So maybe when they're done chasing you, you'll be able to come out of, JJ will come out again, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's a ridiculous thing for them to be working with Kay to find me. There's nothing that's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're working with her in some dark capacity. The police are working with her in some dark capacity. There's no reason for them to be after me in the first place.
Yeah, has she threatened you at all?
Yes, lots of times.
Oh boy, what did she say?
Well, it's in emails and everything. So.
So like she said she was gonna come take him, or she was?
There's a lot of things.
Yeah.
Nellie.
I know, it sounds like it. I'm just worried for you guys because, he's missing.
And, I know.
Okay, I have to pause for commentary and fair use, but let me just say this. This call makes absolutely zero sense. First of all, Melanie, your line of questioning is totally ridiculous. This is why in a few minutes, spoiler alert, you are going to see Lori again because you're going to have to testify at these two jokers' trial. So I can't. She just infuriates me, you guys. She just absolutely infuriates me. This whole situation infuriates me because she helped. She helped hide. She lied to the cops. And then when she got scared and she was like, oh no, maybe I shouldn't lie. Where were you worried about your salvation then, Melanie, when you lied to the cops the first time and gave them time? This is why I can't take her seriously.
Exactly.
And this is why I think she should be locked up. Honestly,
Exactly.
I really do.
I agree with you 1,000%. And have you ever heard that lady? Sorry, he's playing a game. I'm walking outside. But there's a lady Facebook group who snuck and recorded her on a phone call. And on these calls, she is absolutely disgusting. She calls JJ a drug baby. She says,
I
like,
think I know where that is. I think
yes,
it's on YouTube, actually.
I
Should
know
we
it's all
play
over
that
there
later?
probably now. Yeah,
We should
absolutely. I
play
want.
it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think it's the one that was suggested right after this one, the phone call, Laura. The phone call Melanie Gibb doesn't want you to hear. I bet that's
Yes.
it.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the thing of it is that, well, Tess, when she went and did her interrogation, you did do an excellent wrenchy thing. Thank you, Christine G. That's me. Um, she acts when she's in the interrogation, she acts like she doesn't believe it and that it's all like crazy and all the things or whatever. She's real judgmental about it and uppity about it, but no, because as she's explaining it, you can tell that she knows that she should be acting like she doesn't believe it. We'll have to go over her interrogation another night, but for sure, yeah, she's a mess and I can't stand, and she's a liar. And at the end of the day, period, point blank period, what she did was she bought Lori and Chad time, and which makes her complicit. On some level, it may not make her complicit in all the things, but she knows a lot more than she's telling.
And think about this. It literally would not have been possible to go the way it did without her. She plays a very key role in it. So, because think at that certain point, if she wouldn't have lied for her, then she wouldn't have escaped. Well, I think she was in Hawaii already at that point, but still, it would have been much different because for a long time, the world didn't even know if the kids were alive or not. Many people wondered until it came that day we found them in Chad, when they were at Chad's house. And I will never forget that, Jen, because I was so shocked because I wondered for a long time. I'm like, are they hidden in a cave? Have they?
Yes.
Yeah, it was awful. But
it was awful. And that's another thing is that Melanie is up to her eyeballs in it. If y'all remember, it's been a minute, so I bet you guys it's hard to remember all of these things. But Melanie was with Lori when her first husband Charles was unalived by her brother, and she went down to the police station. I can't even talk, to the police station, and sat with Lori while Lori gave her some of her statements. She's been involved since minute one. So she knows all the things, and she is
absolutely,
up to her eyeballs in it. And also the fact that Melanie says to Lori, I was talking to Alex the other day, or I can't remember which one she said, your brother. What other Alex would you be talking to, Melanie? This is right then I would have hung up the phone, because the clarification right there was not for Lori or Chad. It was for the cops, because she's a sneaky snake. She's she is that absolute YouTube video. I'm a fanatic. I'm like a slugger with fanatic. Yeah, we see you, Melanie Gibb.
Christine called her Melanie Fib.
Yes, I love it. Melanie Fib. That's your new name.
I wanted to share with you, if you don't mind. I love it. I was thinking about some of the things you guys have gone through, and I saw the scripture today.
She did, Tess. Yes.
Let me ask you a question about scripture. Okay. So, did Alma turn himself into King Noah? Or what was he required to do?
Well, King Noah was incredibly wicked.
Yes.
And so he fled his evil ways, which was adultery and living riotously and breaking all the commandments.
Right. So what was he required to do, Alma?
He had to go and flee so that he would be safe and then help other people realize how, jacked up the system was and the government was.
What about Moroni? What was he required to do at the end?
To carry on those plates and bury them. That was his responsibility.
What did he have to do to do that? Did he hide?
He had to hide. He had to hide because they were so.
Melanie
everybody was
Gibb.
killing everybody in the society. Everybody was dying. They were killing all the Nephites.
And the scriptures had to hide in the cavity of a rock by day and go out by night.
The prophets did.
They did.
Yeah.
You're not a prophet,
Okay,
Lori.
so thank you for sharing that with me. Okay, this scripture is just something that may be thoughtful for you. For behold, this is Doctrine and Covenants, section 3, verse 7 and 8, says, for behold, you should not have feared man more than God. Although men set not the counsels of God and despise his words, yet you should have been faithful, and he would have extended his arm and supported you against all the fiery darts of the adversary. He would have been with you in every trouble. So when we work with the Lord and are obedient, he's going to protect us from adversarial darts and all kinds of negativity. But when we open the door to Satan, he comes in and then he attacks. And then he takes away to make it look like somebody else took it away. But that's not how God works. He doesn't work in darkness.
I agree with you 100%. And that's what the Lord is doing for me. Exactly what he's doing for me.
Oh, it just
we have not opened the door for darkness now. Darkness is knocking on the door all the time because that's the way dark works with the light. And I promise you that I have done nothing wrong in this case, but sometimes you have to hide in a cavity of a rock for your own life safety.
That's the
grandparents. And that's what the Lord requires of you sometimes. And that's how it is. And I'm sorry that's how it is because there is a lot of darkness on the earth.
I know.
It's coming after me for zero reason besides the darkness of Kay, which you already know she's dark.
I haven't met her enough to know if she's dark or not. I've just met her slightly and she seemed like a normal kind of person, but then I haven't engaged with her that much. So I don't know that personally.
So you don't know about her changing the thing for herself to be the beneficiary of the policy and all stuff. None of that's dark, right?
Well, I haven't seen those documents, so I have no way of knowing.
You've seen them on my computer.
No, I have not. I haven't even looked on your computer before.
Poor Kay sitting there listening.
It might be controversial to me, or if you're recording this conversation for the police or whatever. I don't know what your intention is on this phone call, but I love with all my heart, and I have forever, and I will always.
I appreciate those words, but if you really loved me, you wouldn't have told the police that I had JJ with me. That's not what a friend does. I mean, that just makes me look weird, and it's not safe for me. That doesn't look good.
Okay, Melanie, let me just stop you right there. You could have stopped this. When the cops called you, you could have told them, no, bro, I don't have JJ. She's lying to you. And you know what she told me? She told me that JJ was with Kay. You could have stopped it right there.
She went right along with it.
Yes, you did. And now you're wanting to talk about the light and the dark, and the dark is knocking on the door and burying tablets and all the other things, breaking all the commandments. Stop it. Stop it. It's absolute poppycock.
You had to think of my welfare if you loved me.
I do, and I did exactly what I felt the Lord was instructing me to do. And I appreciate you, and I love you. And I never do anything to harm you. And you can have all of this confirmed to you by the Lord.
I have. And my conscience is clear. I feel very understanding what's really going on, Lori.
Oh, okay.
And I believe that you have been very deceived by Satan. I believe that he has tricked you. And I don't believe that what you're doing is correct. I just don't. I mean, Tammy dies, and then your husband died, and then he's missing. It just doesn't sound like God's plan to me. It just sounds. It gives me a gut feeling. Like in my gut, it feels weird. It doesn't feel right. I don't have peace about it. I never have felt 100% peace about it. I always felt like a little weird in my stomach about all these things.
You know me, Mel. You know me.
I know you messed up my hairs.
It sounds like you've been influenced by somebody dark who wants you to.
Let me stop you right there. Yeah, she knows you, Lori. She knows you messed up her hairs, and that's why she's got tuning forks for bangs.
Believe dark things and have fear. Fear of the celestial world.
I don't have fear.
You obviously do.
No, I have a peace of conscience, and I can see clearly.
A piece of conscience. I don't even know what that is.
Well, I'm sorry that you feel that way. I love you so much.
Oh, Lori.
Yeah.
You're
I'm
so
sorry you feel
delusional.
that way. I love you so much.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what else to say.
Stand Christ when he comes again, and he's coming soon, and we will all stand there, and you will know at that point that he has supported me and has supported me the whole time, and I have not been deceived.
I just want to testify that I know Tammy must have the conspiracy theories. My sister-in-law's right behind it all, and I hope that you're not being influenced by that dark team.
I don't know who she is. I'm sorry, you said your sister-in-law? I don't even know her.
Oh, I know, but she's coming up with the same type of theories, and it's just not true. My own children were there. They testified that Tammy had been getting weaker and sick, and I begged her to go to the doctor.
She was doing a
her heart was failing her.
triathlon.
She was
Right,
physically falling apart.
exactly.
She hates doctors, and she just passed away. That's how it happened. My son Garth was right there with me the whole time. My kids were at the house within 20 minutes of her passing. There were 2 coroners. They checked her out right there on the bed. All these conspiracy theories just make me sick to my stomach. Just absolutely sick. I know I've been told 3 years that Tammy would pass away at a young age. And I had no idea that Lori would even be a part of my life. I just knew that my life had 2 segments. And that I know Tammy's on a special mission, and she's with my kids. She's visited them. There's so much, Melanie, that you just have to have faith, and this is not some sort of master plan. There's no way Lori and I could ever come up with this. It's just...
Oh, my God.
And my concern, correct?
I can, from an outside perspective, but from
someone who knows as much as you know, no, not really. But we can feel Dave's influence on you. I can feel that for sure.
He's a very good man, and he has a very strong foundation, that I know.
I know, but he seems to be the one that's putting the doubts in your mind.
No, you know what? I have come to understand that my gut feeling, I was not listening to it. And I always felt uncomfortable with many things.
Okay.
Hold on a minute.
With what?
Those teachings then for
Here's the deal. Now, this, Melanie, you know damn right well you're recording this for the Popo, right? So why not get out all the doubts that you have and start questioning them? Why not just say it? Why not get maybe Lori to say something that implicates her in some other crime, and the crime that you're actually supposed to be calling about? If you've always had the doubts and you've always had tummy troubles, you need to stop, Melanie. You need to stop. You're saving yourself.
She said, I felt uncomfortable about many things. What was that, Melanie? What was it that you felt uncomfortable about?
Right. And how long did you feel uncomfortable with it? And then after you felt uncomfortable with it, how much longer did you go along with it and help?
Yep.
Like hold Lori's hand during, not literally, I can't remember if they actually held hands, but they were sitting right there together. But I mean, that as a term, not like literal, but you were right there by your bestie's side when her husband was unalived by her brother, being the supportive bestie. I mean, you couldn't have been too scared of her. You gave her freaking scissors, for Pete's sake. I mean, granted, she did mangle the hell out of your bangs. That is a given, and I think we can all agree to that. But scissors are sharp. So you must have trusted her. She could have used those as a weapon. Stop it, Melanie.
I'd be mad if somebody did that to me too. I'd be mad too.
I'd be mad too. But geez, Lou, maybe you should have ratted a little earlier, not when you thought not to save your own butt, not for you to, because you started to feel the fire, ma'am.
Your own
see what I did there?
You'll be accountable for the knowledge that you do have now.
So are you.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Why should you just? Oh, that's right.
I have no fear of that.
But I really, as I was reading the story of Chloroform, and it's so very similar to this. You just can't see it, but he did it because he was trying to reclaim a people, and he thought at the very end, because of his carnal and natural desires, that's what influenced him. And he was very
carnal natural desires.
Well, honey, you got a lot of natural desires. We all know that.
Oh dear, that's Bible. That's Bible for hoe.
Are you kidding me right now?
Bible for hoe.
Am I wrong?
It was. I'm a heathen. No, it was.
And the scriptures are very powerful.
Yes, they are. I live by the scriptures, as you know.
I know, but we can wrest the scriptures for our own vain glory.
I wrested the scriptures?
We can do that, and I feel that you have to see our belief systems.
Do I wrest the scriptures? Is that what you're accusing me of at this point?
I feel that you have.
Why do you feel that way? I need an explanation on this.
Because if you
Hey,
look,
that
like
girl
the scriptures,
Jane.
okay,
You
scriptures.
scriptures every single day, you know?
I know you read them. I know about that. But this scripture right here says that you will be supported by all against the fiery darts of the adversary. You would have been supported if you had not opened dark portals and dark junk. You would have been safe if you would have obeyed God. He would have had your back. But you have been chased and tortured.
Whether you do this or not,
I'm sorry?
he has your back. So,
well, if he has your back, you would not be able to tell me where you are, and we couldn't find JJ. Like, where is he? I've been asking, where is he? And
You literally
you know what I
haven't,
mean?
you've only
Like,
asked
that's-
one time.
I can
Stop
tell
it.
everybody where JJ is right now, and that would not be good for JJ. So, I'm sorry that you don't want me to protect my children, but I would never ask you to not protect your children.
Of course you wouldn't.
So I can tell that you're just adversarial, Mel. I love you. I'm sorry that you feel this way.
Because I actually do care. I'm sharing what I feel for you because I know your salvation's in trouble for what you've done.
Okay, my salvation is not in trouble at all. And I think you should check that with the Lord again.
Well, I felt a lot of things from the Lord. And this doesn't feel right.
Well, I'm sorry that you feel that way, sweetheart. I'm sorry that you're friends with all those who are against me. Joseph Smith's friends turned against me.
I'm not friends with people that are against you.
Apparently you are.
I am not. I don't know Kay. I don't know who you're talking about. Your sister, I don't even know what her name or who she is. I don't know any of those people. Why did they contact me anyway? How would I even know about that?
Well, you're friends with Dave, and he's apparently, you know.
Well, David is a very righteous man, and I've always known that grounding about him. And he has a lot of beautiful experiences with the Lord, and these are not the same. You know, when you get the priesthood, that's Peter, James, and John shows up, and then he confirms all of those in the circle that are to get it, and everybody's a witness of that. Everybody's a witness that the pattern is in the scriptures. There's no witness that you ever received what you think you received. Nobody has seen that but you. There's no witness. The witness, Joseph Smith, all of the cavalry, Martin Harris, the 8 witnesses, they all showed up.
Was there a witness when Jesus, Heavenly Father, gave that to Joseph Smith by himself in the grove? Was there a witness?
No, but they had it later with other people. That was one experience, but others joined in later. When he brought other people into it, they had experiences.
Scriptures, yes or no?
I'm sorry?
Is that in the scriptures, yes or no?
That Joseph was alone when he saw God the Father and Jesus Christ?
Yes.
Yes, he was alone.
He was alone.
But he had to open it up first.
That's not a pattern at all.
Honey, what I'm saying is that after he saw that and other people joined in, they saw the things with him. And he wasn't alone. There was a witness for them. There was no witness. Anybody's never seen what you've seen or experienced what you've seen. That's your own witness, but nobody said that.
No, God knows it, and I will never deny it. For my soul would be at stake if I did. So you can say it didn't happen to me, Mel, but if I say it, then I am accountable. You didn't witness it, but I did.
But your behaviors is not, okay, I understand that's what you believe you saw, but this is the thing, as I see, is that your behavior is not one of somebody that's in Christ. Your behavior. What?
Never had any idea that you would be the person.
Can I just say something right here? I find this is making me feel very weird because I've actually never heard two people fight this way, but they're not talking like, I feel like Melanie is reading Lori for, well, actually, no, I think maybe it's the other way around. Lori is reading Melanie for filth, but but like from the Bible. I've never heard a cat fight or two women argue in this with just that, you know, firing scripture at one another. Like this is a whole new experience for me. And although I've heard this phone call multiple times, I never really realized that's what was going on until just now. And I'm very uncomfortable with it. I have to tell you, Melanie, my soul does not feel at peace with this at all.
You got a lot of natural desires, Lori.
I'm asking questions.
Biblical for hope.
That is what somebody does when they care.
You don't sound like you're concerned. You sound like you're accusatory. You do not sound concerned. You sound pissed off.
I'm not. I am troubled. Maybe that's the better word. Troubled.
Troubled? Oh, dear.
Because these things, like you being with Chad before he's even divorced.
Oh,
is
here it
unusual
goes.
behavior for a person that's seen Jesus Christ.
I was never with him, and he was never divorced.
Honey, I've seen you guys together. So I haven't ever seen you with, I've never seen you with Chad kiss him and walk around the track at BYU with him. I never saw that. You
say you're the one that's feeling guilty about being with someone before they were divorced.
Oh, honey. I think that's not what we're talking about here.
Like, it's not what we're talking about here. That's what I'm saying. You are going off the deep end. But
Well, I'm just saying, this is not a behavior of someone that sees Jesus Christ. It's not the behavior.
really? Have you ever seen Jesus Christ? So do you know what the future behavior would be if you had seen Jesus Christ?
I know that when I pray.
Lord asks me to do every day, and He does protect me, and He is protecting me, and He will protect me against this accusation as well. And we will both stand there with Him, and you tell me if I was lying or not. But we're both standing there with Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Oh.
You know what, Jen? I'm sorry, but she sits there and says, "I've got to protect JJ," knowing
Right.
he'd been passed away for months. That makes me so angry.
Yes, it's disgusting. The whole thing is disgusting. It's absolutely it's abhorrent.
Yeah, it is.
And listen, I'm not a religious person, and I'm not going to knock anybody's religion at all. And I'm not trying to do that at all. I don't, everybody's walk and whatever is personal, individual to their own, but I'm only talking about it because they're talking about it. Okay. But I was raised Catholic. All right. And I don't think in any of my catechism classes ever did the nuns tell any of us that if you were having this level of an argument with your friend, that you're both going to stand in front of Jesus Christ and God and they would sort it out. I've never heard that before. I didn't, the way that I just have never heard this. This is just the weirdest, most odd conversation that I've ever heard in my life. And I do true crime all the time. Think of all the confessions that I've heard. And here it is, this maniac.
I'm
I
sorry.
hadn't even thought about that, but that is what they said.
The phone cut
They
off.
Yes.
did
Could have
say
been-
that. Well,
could have been
when you're in
based
front
on-
of Jesus, no, when you are, no, when you are.
When we're both
Your
in
Honor,
front of
this is
Jesus,
how
he's
I
going to
think
tell
I
you
can-
you're wrong, Melanie. And you're
Mr. Pryor,
accusatory, and
looks
you
like we
have
have about 10
natural
minutes until 5
desires
o'clock.
and
Can
carnal
you give me an
knowledge.
idea of how long you foresee the cross-examination taking here?
Judge, I anticipate much more than 10 minutes. I spoke with Mr. Wood, and we thought it was best if the court would oblige us and forego the next 10 minutes and allow me to start my cross in the morning. If that's acceptable to the court, I would respectfully ask that.
We will recess for the day. We'll reconvene tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Ms. Gibb, if you'll please come forward. Ms. Gibb, with a new day, we'll swear you in here again.
Look at Chad. He's trying to open up a portal right now.
Get the hell out of there.
I mean, for her to put her,
Ms. Gibb,
send
you can
her
be seated
straight
there
to the bad
in that
place.
witness chair.
Oh, we've decided to spruce it up
We'll
today.
pull that microphone up to your chin
We're
and
wearing
aim it at your
pink,
chin
white,
again.
and black. Okay, Melanie.
Mr. Pryor, you may inquire on cross-examination when you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh God,
Mr.
here we go.
Pryor, in looking at some of the recording last night, I noticed that the one audio
Hang
that we
on a
couldn't hear
second.
very well was yours.
Audra, it is sad, and you're right. And my heart breaks for everybody that knew and was touched by JJ and Tylee. The truth of the matter is, I'm not making fun or light of the situation. It's a very serious situation, but Melanie's testimony is, in my opinion, absolute poppycock and ridiculous. And I don't,
Yes.
there's no other way for me to say it. And yes, sometimes I do crack a joke at her expense, but I want you to know, and anybody else that's listening on replay, it's not that I don't take the case or the crime or the lives of JJ and Tylee seriously. I do. It breaks my heart. They were, Lori and Chad robbed this world of JJ and Tylee's potential. We have no idea what they were going to bring to this world, and they took that.
Yeah.
So I find it disgusting, but I also find Melanie's indignation, her sitting up there on the witness stand as if she wasn't complicit, as if she wasn't part of it. If she didn't help, she lied. She lied. And then she thought it'd be a good idea to, record a phone call as if that absolves her of what she did. She's been feeling that there's things that were wrong, and she was, troubled this whole time, and she never opened her mouth. Not only did it's one thing to remain silent. it's another thing to cover, which she did.
Yep. Yep. And she deserves to be laughed at. I'm sorry, because I take it very seriously too. And their lives meant something. And if it wasn't for her, this would have never gotten to the level that it did. That's just the facts.
Yes.
She's ridiculous and deserves to be laughed at. But yeah, it's not the grandparents. I mean, it's heartbreaking. From day one, you've seen them begging, just tell us where they are. They even said, I remember, we'll take Tylee too. Do you remember before they were
Yes.
found? It was
Yes.
heartbreaking. But
Yes.
yeah, it's just that Melanie is not, she deserves to be laughed at, period. That's how
Right.
I feel.
We're laughing at her, not the crime at all.
Right.
Because we recognize the seriousness of this crime.
So again, if you don't mind making your microphone look like this, it will record it a lot better if it's pointed at your chin. I know it looks weird. That's the way to do it.
I know, Audra. I know.
can.
And Ms. Gibbs, can you hear me as well?
Yes.
Our hurt. We all hurt for this family. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Ms. Gibb, I apologize. When did you first meet Mr. Daybell?
I can
About
get this cushion to
maybe 2 or 3
be
years ago.
comfortable.
Okay, if I reflect, the information I have is that you were at a preparedness camp in July of 2017 in Ogden, Utah. Is that correct?
In Morgan, Utah. Yes, that's correct.
Morgan, Utah?
Mhm.
Is Morgan close?
Sir,
to
can
Ogden?
you
Yes.
talk in the mic?
Right. And also,
Explain
did
to
you
me
guys
what
know that
preparedness camp
Ogden, Utah is
It was
where
Objection, relevance.
you mail tax
Mr.
returns?
Pryor's been objection as to relevance.
Well, Judge, there
I
was
worked for a
testimony that
CPA
met.
for a minute.
I think I can inquire as to the nature of that relationship
Yeah.
and what they were both there
Some
for. And
like not
I
personal
don't think it's
taxes,
necessarily
like
irrelevant to the
business
discussion.
tax.
It's much like we went to a concert or we went to a play. It's the same thing. I think I'm allowed to inquire about that. I don't see that's necessarily
Could you
irrelevant.
inquire
I will
about
remove the
that closer
objection.
to
You may
the
continue with that
mic?
question, Mr. Pryor.
And again, ma'am.
Hey, Smooth Criminal Podcast. Could you please come and fluff my cushion?
It's a camp where people get together, families and individuals, where they're learning about how to cook outside or how to filter water or different preparedness skills.
Preparedness for what?
For if there's times where you may not have those types of things readily available to you, that you could learn to do it if you didn't have electricity, things like that.
Yes, Christine.
Okay, well, I noticed when I was listening
Absolutely.
to your tape, and obviously I've heard that before. There was
Hey,
some
I
Minnie.
religious
missed that.
references on that tape
I
that
think
you
I
and
missed
Mr.
that. I
Daybell.
didn't know about the
And
cookies.
I'm just
That's
curious
really
as to whether
cool,
this
though.
preparedness camp has any
Yes.
kind of a religious undertone as well.
Objection, relevance.
Overruled. I think there was a lot of religious undertones that were put forth yesterday. I'm going to allow Mr. Pryor to go down this road in a limited way here today. I'm going to allow that question.
And again, there was a religious undertone, and I don't want to go into complete detail about
Oh,
this.
I've
It's not
missed you
necessary.
too, Smooth
But I would
Criminal.
like you
I'm
to
so glad
explain,
you're here,
what is in
babe.
your mind the religious nature of these preparedness camps?
Your client was one of those people that spoke at that, and he was
Okay, well, I
expressing
didn't
his
ask the
visions
judge.
and
I'm going
dreams.
to move to strike. The question is what's the religious undertone? It's not what my client participated, ma'am. It's what is the undertone of this? So I'd like you to answer my question as opposed to pushing some blame on my client. So would you answer the question?
Objection, this is argumentative.
Hold
Yeah.
up. We're going to take a timeout here.
Yes.
Mr. Pryor, I want you to ask the question. Ms. Gibb, I want you to answer the question that Mr. Pryor is asking you. I'm not going to tell you how to answer that question, but I want you to listen carefully to the question that he asks. Understand, after Mr. Pryor asks you these questions, Mr. Wood will get a chance to offer any redirect if he deems that's necessary, which can often provide clarification. But I want you to listen carefully to the question that's being asked of you and answer only that question. Mr. Pryor, you can ask the question again.
Hey,
So I noticed you
C-Star.
just took a look at Mr. Wood. Is there a reason why you just did that?
I looked around.
Oh, you looked around?
I didn't actually look at his face.
Okay. Just over in that direction. So why don't you tell me what the religious nature of this preparedness camp is, ma'am?
Yeah,
People sharing
ma'am.
their spiritual experiences,
Okay.
scriptural based to personal dreams.
Does it have a specific religious affiliation in this religious preparedness camp?
People that belong to our church,
What church is that, ma'am?
the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
So you represent yourself as an LDS person, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, all right. And the first opportunity for you to meet Mr. Daybell was in July of 2017. Did you have a face-to-face meeting with him?
Yes,
Okay, did you discuss anything in particular?
yes.
I'm sorry, Judge, I heard some voices in the corner and it distracted me. I apologize. And then did you have any contact with him prior to the July 18th organization that you went to in Mesa, Arizona?
I'm not sure.
Okay, so you don't have any recollection of whether you spoke to him again between July of 2017 and July of 2018, is that correct?
I'm not sure. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And then you were at some sort of an organization in July of 2018, is that right?
I'm sorry, 2018?
In Mesa, Arizona.
I'm just checking my mind with my dates. I believe so.
I'm checking my mind
Is there
with my
anything that you
dates,
have in terms of a
Lord
medical
AB.
condition that affects your ability to recollect anything, ma'am?
No,
Is there any condition such as an auditory disorder that you've been diagnosed with that affects your ability to understand and hear things?
no,
You've never been medically diagnosed with an auditory disorder?
no.
He gives her, you know, a
He's
way to
giving her
hard
the
way to go.
business, and I love it.
Correct.
And when was that?
I can't get comfy in
October
my chair. Hold on.
2018.
Did you meet Chad Daybell at the same time?
No,
That was a different occasion. Where did you meet Miss Vallow, ma'am?
in Mesa, Arizona, at a church building.
Okay, and what was the nature of the proceeding that you were at? Was it a preparedness camp again?
No, it was a held by the church, inside the church, about preparedness type of classes that they asked me to speak on.
Okay, and this was the church that was supporting this preparedness situation was part of the LDS church, is that correct?
Yes, but these groups are separate.
I'm sorry, say that again?
These groups are not affiliated with each other.
Okay, but it was at an LDS church and it was an LDS sponsored event, is that correct?
Mhm.
Okay, was Mr. Daybell there?
No,
Okay. And then on July 18th, when you met him in Mesa, Arizona, when is the next time that you met him?
I met him. We
Christine.
saw each other in October 2018, probably a week or two after I met Lori.
Okay. And that was in St. George?
Yes.
And what was the nature of that meeting? Where was that taking place at? In the church as well?
No, I think it was in an elementary school.
Okay. And what was the nature of that meeting? What was
It was a variety of speakers.
Okay. And what was the topics?
We had some talking about science.
Okay.
We had some talking about Book of Mormon evidence.
Okay.
We had some talking about their dreams of visions.
Okay. And were you a speaker at that as well?
No.
I just don't
You
like
were
Miss
listening?
Pryor.
Mr. Warwick, you mentioned
Yeah.
him a couple of times
Yes.
yesterday. What's your relationship with Mr. Warwick?
He's my boyfriend.
Okay. Are you two living together?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
That was a dig.
You know where Mr. Warwick?
It was. It was.
Yes.
Where does he live?
He lives in Utah,
Where in Utah?
Pleasant Grove,
Okay. Where do you live, ma'am?
Gilbert, Arizona.
And that's your permanent address in Gilbert, Arizona?
Correct.
Yep, Christine, you're right.
And again, the October 26th at St. George, did that have religious overtones as well?
Yes.
And that was also somewhat sponsored by the LDS Church, is that correct?
Not by the church, by individuals.
Okay. But the theme of that was consistent with what your religious faith is that correct?
Correct.
And are you telling me that on October 26th, Mr. Daybell was there as well?
Yes. If you could speak a little closer to your mic.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Daybell, do you
Thank
recall
you,
what your
Melanie.
thought was
At least
sometime on
one
October
thing that you said
2018?
has been
Yes, he talked about the different
All
visions he
right.
had of what he saw was going to happen in the last days.
Is that something that interested you?
Yes.
Is that something that's inconsistent with your religious beliefs?
No.
Okay. So it's something that's consistent with your religious beliefs, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And then at some point, do you have a recollection when Mr. Daybell and Lori Vallow met?
Yes.
And you were present for that meeting, is that correct?
Yes.
And was that in Arizona?
No. As you recall, I said St. George, Utah.
That was on the 26th of 2018 in St. George. That's correct. Okay. So you had known Miss Vallow at that point for how long?
He's still not speaking
weeks.
closer to his mic.
Did you form a friendship?
Yes.
Was it an immediate friendship?
Yes.
Oh,
Would you describe, obviously I heard some of your testimony on that tape, but from that time in October until, maybe the beginning of last year, you had a very close friendship. Would that be fair?
Yes.
Sisters?
Possibly.
Well, possibly, or were you that close?
We were close.
Okay. You shared a number of things.
Yes.
You shared your belief about having visions about things that may happen in the future, correct?
Not my visions, not her visions.
Okay. But you're not in disbelief about having visions about things, are you?
I'm not in disbelief.
Right. Okay. Can you
Her
tell me how many
face.
times you spoke with the Gilbert Police Department?
Oh, multiple times, maybe 5 or 6.
Okay. Do you have a recollection of the first time you spoke to the Gilbert Police Department?
I believe it was December, I'm sorry, in person or on phone?
On the phone?
On phone. I believe it was December 7th or 8th.
Is it possible that in November, Officer Pillar left you a phone message to get back to him and call him?
They're very rude, Smooth Criminal. They don't think about things, other people,
Yeah.
selfish.
And then in November, you didn't call him back right away, is that correct?
Correct.
And then at some point, you did have contact with him. Did you initiate the contact, or did Officer Gilbert initiate the contact?
Well, he first initiated it, and then I secondly initiated it.
So you called him back?
Correct.
Sometime after he had called you, correct?
That's correct.
How much time passed between when he left the message and when you got back to him?
I would say within an hour, possibly.
Okay. And then at some point, there was a question regarding the whereabouts of JJ, is that right?
Correct.
And at that point, you had advised him that you had JJ.
They sure aren't, Smooth Criminal. I'm really getting
I
tired
told him
of
that I
this.
had him, and then I didn't have him.
So the initial time that you told him that you had JJ, that was not a truthful statement to Officer Pillar, was it?
Correct.
And when you tell a statement that's not accurate to a police officer, that's a lie, is it not?
Correct.
So you lied to a police officer, is that correct?
Correct.
And then at some point, how long between the time when you told that lie to the police officer regarding the whereabouts of JJ Vallow did you correct your lie? How much time passed?
Till I spoke to him on December 6th, I believe. I could be off a day or two.
So, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I want an accurate reflection of the amount of time that we're talking about. The initial call from Officer Gilbert occurred sometime in late November. Did you have any reason to disagree with that, ma'am?
Me too,
No.
we all are.
And then the time when you decided to tell Officer Gilbert the truth, or at least what you think the truth is, was sometime in December, the 6th of December.
Correct.
So approximately 10 to 12 days passed from the time you told your first lie.
I'm glad he
when you
pointed that
decided to
out.
come up with a different story for
Yes,
Officer
it's
Gilbert
important.
later on, correct?
Correct.
So at least at that point, we have 2 phone calls with Officer Gilbert, correct?
Correct.
Officer Gilbert,
Hey,
Officer
Jessica.
Pillar, I'm sorry, I apologize. Officer Pillar, I can't get Gilbert, Arizona out of my mind.
Mhm.
Officer Pillar.
Can you
When was
get
the next
getting
time you
closer
spoke
to
with
the
Officer Pillar?
mic in your mind? Do I need to send the voice? That's what
Maybe
the
the
voices
next
in the
day.
corners are saying.
And
What was the purpose of that?
They
phone
can't
call?
hear you.
we were just trying to make arrangements to get together.
To discuss the case?
Correct.
And where did you make arrangements to discuss the case?
In his office in Gilbert, Arizona.
Okay, and when did you have that office visit with him? Do you recall?
I know I have it written down. I cannot recall right now. It's on my phone though.
Was it a significant amount of time, or was it a brief?
Well, I was in Utah at the time.
Where were
so
you,
he
where
was-
were you
he-
in Utah?
Hold on.
Yes, smooth
So,
criminal.
Mr. Pryor, you're interrupting the witness before she can answer.
I
the question.
apologize, Your Honor.
We're making a record here, so it's crucial that nobody talk over each other. So, Mr. Pryor, I want you to make a
He's getting fired up.
record here. Let the witness finish the answer before you ask the next question. And Ms. Gibb, if you'll make sure he finishes the question before you start to answer.
And
Okay.
So the
could
last thing I heard is that you were in Utah. and I did
talk
interrupt you.
into
I
the
apologize for
mic.
that.
Okay.
Where were you in Utah?
I was at David Warwick's home in Pleasant Grove, Utah.
How long had you been there?
Oh, look
A
at
few
her
days,
eye
I can't
twitching.
recall.
And do you recall the approximate date is when you were there?
I'm sorry.
The approximate date when you were there, ma'am?
I don't have those dates memorized right now.
Okay. But at some point, you then had an face-to-face conversation with Officer Pillar of the Gilbert Police
When I
Department.
arrived home from my trip to Utah, I immediately went there that day. I didn't even go home first.
Okay. And how long was the conversation with Officer?
Oh,
Pillar?
yeah, because that matters.
I would say at least 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Did he advise you whether or not that was a recorded conversation?
I believe he did.
He said it was a recorded conversation?
I believe so, but I can't exactly recall.
And then did you have another visit with him at a later time after that?
I did.
Okay, when was that, ma'am?
I can't recall the time, but it was probably a few weeks.
A few weeks later? Okay. And again, was that a recorded conversation was that a recorded conversation?
I don't know for sure, but it could have been.
Was it an in-person discussion?
Yes.
Who else was present for that meeting?
The second meeting, I believe it was just Officer Pryor or Pillar, sorry.
Pillar? Okay. And then at some point, were you interviewed by the Rexburg Police Department?
A little bit.
A little bit. I was a little bit interviewed.
I just had a brief conversation and then he told me to just contact Gilbert Police to tell the whole story.
Did you have any other visits with the Gilbert Police Department after that, the last one you spoke of?
Yes.
Okay, when was the next one?
Oh, Could have been like a month or two later. I can't recall.
And at any time, did you have a face-to-face meeting with anybody from the Rexburg Police Department?
Not until just a few months ago when they came down to speak to me.
Okay, and who came down to speak with you?
Detective Ball and Detective Hermosillo and Rob Woods.
Right. So at that point, do you recall what that date of that meeting was?
I believe it was in June,
Okay.
but I can't recall the date.
Okay. And again, that meeting, Officer Hermosillo was present.
Correct?
Did Officer Hermosillo say that he was recording that conversation?
I do not know.
Did you recall whether he told you that?
I can't recall.
Did Lieutenant Ball say he was recording the conversation?
I cannot recall.
I thought about it, Jessica, but it's a lot. I might have to do it too. I might have to do it just to
And
do
the
it.
topic of discussion was Lori Vallow?
Julie Rowe,
It was
Alex.
everybody.
Okay. And everybody
Oh
knew
my goodness.
Lori Vallow?
I
That'd
know,
be really
she's
fun
a-
though.
She's a.
Correct? Correct.
We can do it if you want us to.
Potential difficulties you might have as a client to the Gilbert Police Department?
No,
There
It
was
definitely
never
would be
any reference or
interesting.
Any offer of any deal to testify about anything, and they would forego going after you for lying to a police officer?
no,
You've never
No.
been offered anything by anyone in regards to the fact that you lied about, or at least you.
Objection asked and answered.
Mr. Pryor,
I judge it's a different question. It's a slightly different question.
I'll allow you to ask the question.
So again, Mr. Wood has never specifically offered you any deal to testify in any manner in this case. Is that correct?
never.
And when you came into town, when did you arrive in town this week?
Saturday.
Okay. Did you have a meeting with Mr. Wood prior to testifying today?
Yes,
Did he tell you what to say on the stand?
no,
Did he coach you in any way?
no,
Did he ask you to testify in a certain manner or wear a certain amount of clothes, a certain way?
no.
What?
He didn't tell you anything.
We talked about a lot of things.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get into. It wasn't the weather, was it, ma'am?
Oh
No.
dear.
It was about how and what you were going to say in this hearing today, correct?
He asked me questions and I gave him answers.
Do you know whether or not that recording, that conversation was recorded or not?
I have no idea.
So if what you're telling me is that when you arrived here on Saturday, you had a meeting with Mr. Wood, who else was present for that meeting?
David Warwick and two of the women he works with.
Okay, two of the women Mr. Warwick works with?
No, Rob Woods.
Okay, so his staff was there as well?
Correct.
Okay, was any law enforcement officer there?
Probably, yes. I saw Detective Hermosillo and some of the detectives, I didn't know their name and I didn't know the titles, but I know they told me, I just can't recall all the people.
And when you say probably, the answer is there were other officers there, correct?
Yes,
And how many other officers, and you don't need to give me their names, but how many in number were in this place where you were being interviewed?
I cannot recall. There was several people going in and out. It was a busy kind of a
Where did this-
movement.
I'm sorry. Where did this interview take place?
In the Madison County Courthouse?
At the prosecutor's office?
Yes,
So if I understand this correctly, that you spoke to numerous law enforcement officers about your testimony. Mr. Wood and,
Objection. He's misstating her testimony.
Mr. Pryor,
well, there've been at least 4 or 5 discussions with Officer Pillar, is that correct?
I'm sorry?
Officer Pillar, how many times?
Only
did
on
Your Honor, I
1.25. It's
never mind.
barely fast,
I'll withdraw my
Christine.
objection.
Mr. Pryor, please proceed.
You've had numerous discussions with law enforcement officers, is that correct?
Yes, if you could speak a little closer to your mic.
Okay, I will.
You're still not.
Other than Officer Hermosillo and Officer
Okay, I will.
Ball, and Officer
Okay, I
Officer
won't.
Pillar from the Gilbert Police Department, have you spoken to anybody with the FBI?
Yes,
And how many times did you speak with the FBI?
All of us, Jessica, all of us are ready for
maybe 2 or
April
3
3rd.
times.
When were those, ma'am?
Oh,
Oh, holy cow.
sometime in 2020, and sometime in the beginning of the year. I cannot recall the dates.
All right, so sometime in 2020, that's a very broad range.
I know.
Are you having difficulty remembering when you spoke with an FBI agent?
Yes,
And is it your common practice to regularly speak with FBI agents? Is that why you can't remember that you spoke with one?
it
Objection,
wasn't
compound,
common.
I'm
and
sorry.
argumentative.
Sustained on the argumentative. Mr. Pryor, if you'll divide your questions so that we can get one answer per question.
You testified that sometime in 2020 you spoke with the FBI. Did you speak to him in August of 2020?
I can't recall. August, that would be this month.
That would be. So that's why I'm trying to wonder whether or not you can't recall because there's.
I didn't know. I didn't speak to anybody in August.
Okay, did you speak to anybody in July of 2020?
I don't think so.
June of 2020.
I'm sorry?
June of 2020, did you speak to the FBI?
Probably not, but I can't recall.
Okay.
Probably not.
Did you speak to the FBI in May of 2020?
I can't recall.
Do you have any recollection of any month that you may have spoken to the FBI?
No.
Okay. So you don't remember even talking to them?
I remember talking to them.
My
Oh my
I don't know
gosh.
what month it was.
I want to be accurate, so I don't remember.
Okay.
Okay,
So in
let me ask
2019,
it to
you
you
have more-
this way. What was the weather like when you were talking? Because I was born in Tucson, Arizona, and I lived there until I was 10. So I know that Arizona has basically one season. It's always hot, but the summer is significantly hotter, like from April, May to right around Easter, whenever the heck Easter is, all the way until like October. It's like the ninth circle of hell. Okay. And so was it like the ninth circle of hell, or was it like the eighth or the seventh circle of hell in degrees of heat, Melanie? Come on, Jesus
Any
Louise.
recollection of when you spoke with the FBI?
Now you want to be accurate. You were a liar before.
Was it an uneventful discussion? Is that why you don't remember it?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Was it an uneventful discussion? Is that why you don't remember it?
I just can't recall the time because it didn't have any significance of a certain, it was on the phone, so I don't remember the date.
Oh, you've never had a face-to-face discussion with the FBI?
No,
It's always been on the phone?
correct.
Okay. Do you keep your phone records?
Mostly, yes.
Okay. And you have your phone records available for the last couple of years?
I don't think they date back that long.
I want to switch gears a little bit, if we may, and I'd like to talk about Alex Cox. How would you describe your relationship with Alex Cox?
A
This is
friend,
weird.
friendly with,
This is weird.
How many times did you meet Alex Cox?
That's right. Get up on that microphone for this
multiple times,
question.
I cannot recall.
When was the first time you met Alex Cox?
Shortly after meeting Lori, between October and November 2018.
Okay. How would you describe the relationship based on the knowledge that you have of between Alex Cox and Lori Vallow?
I'm sorry, the relationship I
Yeah,
have or they have?
They have, the two of them.
All those two together. They were good friends and siblings to each other. They got along really well.
Well, they were very close with each other, were they not?
Pinkies
Yes.
up.
In fact, isn't it true that when they moved from Arizona to Idaho, Alex moved as well? Isn't that true?
Correct.
And in fact, he tried to get an apartment right next to Lori's. Isn't that correct?
I believe so.
Right.
I'll
And
be
he
right
actually
back,
gave up
you
a
guys.
job so that he could be with Lori in Idaho. Is that
Gotta let
correct?
the pups
I don't know
out.
if he gave it up.
Okay.
Okay.
Did he do that previously as well? In Texas or something like that? Do you have any recollection of that?
I don't know, but
So when you described they have a close relationship, it was a little more than close. They were extremely close, weren't they?
Objection speculative.
There's no speculation. It's a specific question.
Ms.
Were they
Gibb,
extremely close?
Ms. Gibb, I'm going to authorize the question to be answered if you know the
This
answer.
is, I say, weird.
I would say yes.
Now you listened to the tape recording that you recorded. And that was in, what was that, November? Was that December of last year? Is that correct, that tape recording? The one, the 21-minute record with Lori?
December 8th.
Okay. You remember the date?
I did.
Okay. Were you prompted by law enforcement to make that phone call?
Nope.
You did that on your own?
Yep.
And the questions you asked were questions that you planned ahead of time to ask Lori about what was going on, correct?
Correct.
And you planned this as a means of trying to gain some information to somehow either clarify things for you, correct?
Partially correct. I had many objectives in that, and that was
Okay.
one of them,
Okay.
to show my innocence.
Okay. And one of the other objectives, then we'll talk about that, is to impress upon the police that you did nothing wrong. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you needed to prove to the police that you were innocent of no wrongdoing. Is that correct?
That wasn't my full objective.
But it was one of the objectives, wasn't it?
Yes.
Now, I took the liberty of listening to that tape a number of times, and I found something quite interesting, is that Lori Vallow said on the tape that she would not tell anything to Al. When she said she would not tell anything to Al, who's the Al she's talking about?
Her brother,
That would be Alex Cox.
correct,
And she also talked about not telling you anything as well, correct?
correct.
And you two were more than close friends. You were almost sisters with Lori Vallow, weren't you?
We were really close.
Well, were you almost sisters? Would you describe it as that close?
Possibly.
Okay. Is there a reason why you're not saying yes?
Well, it's just a big word to say you're sisters with somebody. I haven't known her for very long, so it's only
Right.
been a few months.
Okay. But you knew her long enough to make that phone call to try to get her to help you clear your name, right?
Partially,
Okay. Now, would you describe Lori as someone who's a persuasive person?
yes,
And she's got quite a dynamic personality, doesn't she?
yes,
And she's very convincing, isn't she?
yes,
And if she says that she would not discuss anything with any of her children or the whereabouts with anybody close to her, would that be a fair statement?
yes,
So she would, no matter who it is, she would probably refrain from giving out any information if it served her purpose. correct?
Objection speculative. Calls for facts, not evidence.
Sustained.
I'd like to talk a little bit and switch gears a little bit. You went down to, went down. You came to Rexburg around the 19th of September, is that right?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
And part of your visit, you brought your boyfriend at the time, David Warwick, correct?
He met me there.
Okay, you guys met there.
Correct.
And then you were staying in, and I've had an opportunity to go through all of the police reports and all the evidence, but you were staying in Lori Vallow's apartment, is that correct?
Correct.
And you and David were staying in Tylee's room, from what I understand the statements that were previously given, is that correct?
I was
Oh, where was David staying?
in JJ's room.
Okay. Now, and obviously correct me if I'm wrong, but you had a poor relationship with Tylee, and isn't that correct?
I would say I had pretty much a no relationship with Tyler.
Right. She didn't care. Well, all right, I want to strike this because I don't want to misrepresent. Both of you weren't particularly fond of each other. Is that correct?
Objection
just
asked
did
and
not.
answered.
That hasn't been asked and answered, Judge.
Overruled. I'll allow the question.
You and Tylee were not particularly fond of each other. Is that correct?
I don't know how she felt about me, but I did not have a relationship with her. I would not say that.
Okay. Okay. But it's no surprise that she didn't necessarily want to be around you, did she?
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained.
You could really care less whether you were around her as well. Isn't that true, ma'am?
Not necessarily.
Okay. Well, if it's not necessarily, does that mean yes, no, or you just don't want to answer?
Objection argumentative.
Sustained.
How would you describe your relationship with Tylee, other than not at all? Did you care to be around her or not?
Very
Objection
little.
asked and answered.
Okay. I'm fine,
Sustained.
Judge. I'm going to move on.
She said very little. She cared to
Thank
be
you,
around her very little.
I tried to communicate, but he didn't reciprocate, so there was not a relationship.
Okay. He was autistic, obviously, right?
Correct.
And you're familiar with that as well. You share with Lori the job of caring for autistic children as well, do you not?
Objection relevance.
Repeat the question for me, Mr. Pryor.
You share the job and the obligation of caring for an autistic child as well, do you not, Ms. Gibb?
I'd also renew the objection on the grounds that it's beyond the scope of the direct.
I don't know how far you're going to go along this road, Mr. Pryor. I'll allow that one question. But as far as relevance goes, I agree. You're bordering on the relevant.
All right. You share that with Ms. Vallow, as you have an autistic child as well, do you not, ma'am?
Correct.
Okay. Now, that child was also interviewed by the police about the whereabouts of JJ Vallow. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Were you present for that?
No.
You chose not to be?
I was in Utah. He was in Gilbert.
So the Gilbert police approached him and interviewed him about your knowledge about the whereabouts of JJ?
They asked him questions.
Okay. Do you have any recollections to whether or not he cooperated with the officers?
He says he had a short visit with him.
Okay. And when did he say that short visit was?
Objection hearsay.
Sustained.
Okay. To your recollection, were you ever present when your son and JJ Vallow had a short visit? At the time period that he was talking about, ma'am?
They never had a visit during that period.
Okay. So that was not a truthful statement that your son made to the Gilbert police?
My
Department?
son did not
Objection
understand the
calls for
question.
hearsay.
It's not calling for hearsay. That's just asking whether or not she believes it was a truthful statement to the police department about her son saying she had a visit with JJ Vallow and it didn't happen.
Your Honor, he's just trying to sneak in a statement of someone who's not here in the courtroom. It's calls for hearsay.
Sustained.
He's
I'm
paid.
sorry.
He's John Pryor
He
is
left
a
on the
paid
23rd of September,
attorney
is that right?
by Chad. Sunset Gazing. Jen,
There, let me highlight that. Yes,
did you
ma'am.
hear? Did you hear the
Yes,
freaking
very
part about
little,
Hallie? Oh my!
very little.
She's like, oh, how much? Why? How do you dislike a child like that? Like, because they in that recording call, which if we can't do it tonight, we can do it another day. Like, we need to
Yes.
listen to that because she does talk about Hallie too, and it's just with such hate. Like, oh, it's gross.
Okay, so we're at 1:32. There's 20 more minutes. I'm going to have to speed him up, you guys, so that we can be done by 9:30 because the Cypher podcast is going live and I don't want to go over there live because they're very good about not ever going over mine. And I want to be reciprocal, both,
Yeah,
either.
me too. Totally.
So I'm just going to speed them up just a scotch, which it doesn't really matter because we can't hear his ass anyways. And everybody's relying on the closed captioning. So I'm going to speed him up. Okay. And not interrupt anymore. Here we go.
Okay.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. And at that time, you didn't see Tylee at all. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, on the Sunday, the 22nd, did David and Chad go to deal with some real estate matters together?
I did as well. And
Oh.
so Alex was there too.
Oh, that was news to me. I wasn't aware you went as well. Where did you guys go?
We went to a lot that was close to Mr. Daybell's home.
And what time was that? Do you recall?
It was sometime in the afternoon. I don't recall exactly.
Okay. Sometime meaning between 12 and 5 or 6?
I would say either late morning or early afternoon.
Okay. And the purpose of that was for what, ma'am?
Chad wanted to show this piece of land to David, and he encouraged him to consider building on that land.
Okay. It's your boyfriend. Is your boyfriend in the real estate business now?
General contractor.
General contractor. Okay. Was Lori Vallow present for that?
No.
Was Alex present for that?
Yes.
And what time did that end?
I don't recall.
Was it a long visit?
I would say an hour-ish.
Okay.
I'm glad I sped him up if he's going to be pausing and
No,
stuff. We don't have time for that.
Night of the 22nd. Alex Cox
That was a long pause too.
was babysitting JJ. Is that what I recall from your testimony?
Yes.
Okay. So I'd like to go through a brief timeline, if I may.
He's really formulating this question and
So
I
you
can
got back
hear
from
the
a real estate
wheels.
event sometime late afternoon, something like that. Is that correct?
Something like that.
Then you and your boyfriend drove over to Lori's apartment?
After that meeting, yes.
Yeah. Did Alex go with you in the same car?
No, he had his own vehicle.
Okay. Did Alex go over to Lori's apartment as well that day afterwards?
I don't recall when he did. He was in and out often.
I'm sorry, what?
He was in and out. He would come in and out of the house, so I don't recall exactly when he arrived or exactly when he did. I don't remember.
He had an ability to just visit Lori. They were very close in that he would just come in when he felt like it. Is that fair to
Thank
say?
you,
I would say
Christine,
so.
for dropping that, babe. I've been
And so
meaning
at
to
some point on
tell,
the 22nd, he was
I've
coming
been
in and
meaning
out,
to
right?
ask for that.
Talk
Thank
a
you
little
for
bit about
doing
Alex
that.
carrying JJ
I'm a
back into
terrible
Lori's apartment.
hostess.
Correct.
Do you recall when that was approximately?
As I shared yesterday, it was sometime between the hours of 9 p.m.
Oh,
to
thank you,
midnight.
Christine. And yes, I love my banner
staying in
and
the
my
apartment that night?
logo.
Not to my knowledge.
It is
how big of an
quite
apartment?
gorgeous.
There are 3 bedrooms upstairs and none downstairs.
So with you in one bedroom and your boyfriend in the other bedroom and Lori in the bedroom, where was JJ?
Hey, ELM.
He had like a little bed in the corner.
She's
of the room.
probably
And so
around here
that's where she would have him
somewhere.
sleep.
Oh, okay. Was that a permanent structure in there, ma'am?
It was a
Permanent
bed
bed?
in a corner.
Okay. And to your knowledge, was JJ there at night between 9 and 12?
To my knowledge, he was.
And Alex put him to bed, is that correct?
I just remember him coming in the house holding him, and then I turned back to the recording that I was doing that evening.
Okay. What was the nature of the recording then?
We were recording a podcast with Lori present, and we were interviewing David, and he was sharing a lot of his personal spiritual experiences and conversion to our church.
Okay, and that's the LDS religion?
Correct.
So Lori was actively involved as well in the LDS religion at that time during that meeting as well, correct?
Correct.
And she shared the same beliefs that you share in terms of the religion, is that correct?
Correct.
And Chad shared the same religious beliefs as part of the LDS church as well, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So all of you, David, yourself, Lori, and Chad all share the same and are consistent with your LDS beliefs. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You got up in the morning on the 23rd?
Sometime.
Do you recall about what time, ma'am?
I don't.
Okay. But you do recall that JJ wasn't there.
Correct.
Well, if you didn't know he slept there when you were doing your podcast, how did you know he was there? Wasn't there?
As I said, I don't recall seeing him. I never recall seeing him.
Oh, so he may have been there.
I didn't see him.
Okay, but he may have been there or he may not have been there. Would that be a fair statement?
Sure,
Well, I don't need sure. Is that a fair statement or is it an unfair statement?
it could be fair.
Okay.
It's a little complicated, Mo.
Did Lori rely on Alex for babysitting?
She's a witness for the state,
Sometimes. I don't
but she
recall.
was friends
I
with
didn't
Chad
know all her
and
babysitting moments.
Lori.
Here around September 1st. Mr. Daybell wasn't.
No, she's not on trial.
Daybell prior to September 1st. Would that be fair?
Yes,
I'll
you
put that
can.
outside of the
Your request
please repeat the question,
has
Mr.
been
Pryor?
Would it be fair to
received,
say that
and
Mr.
I
Daybell
grant
was
your
not a
request for
regular
3
visitor with Lori
friendship
Vallow
points
until she
raising.
moved here on
Yes,
September 1st? Would that be
absolutely.
fair?
Would it be fair that who is not a regular visitor?
Would it be fair that Mr. Daybell was not a regular visitor with Ms. Vallow until after he moved here, until after she moved here on September 1st, ma'am?
Mr. Wood, your objection
I'll
is
withdraw the objection.
okay. Ms. Gibb, if you know the answer to that question, you can answer it.
I know according to knowledge from what Lori shared that they visited often.
Oh, they did. Was that prior to September 1st?
Yes.
Oh, so he would go to where was Lori living?
She lived multiple places.
Well, let's talk about that. Where was she living prior to September 1st?
She was living in Chandler, Arizona.
Okay, did she move somewhere else prior to Chandler?
Yes.
Where she lived?
She lived in Texas. I'm sorry. Yes, Texas.
When do you have a recollection of when she lived in Texas?
I'm not sure exactly the months, but I want to say somewhere between April or May or
Of what year, ma'am?
something, or June of
April, May, June of what year?
2019.
Do the math. There you go.
Yeah, 2019.
How long
Okay.
did she live in Texas?
It seemed that it was around 2 months. It could have been a little bit more, a little bit less.
And then she moved to Chandler, Arizona. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did she live any place after Chandler before she came to Rexburg?
I don't think so. No,
You said multiple places. That's what I'm trying to get at. Was it just 2 places?
no. So she lived with Alex Cox for a period of time.
Oh, when did she live with Alex?
So the beginning of 2019, after she left Charles, and she also lived in Hawaii for a period of time. So,
Right.
was
Was she in Hawaii? And I'm not talking about the time that she was with Chad. Was she in Hawaii with Alex as well?
I don't think he was there. I don't know for sure.
It's possible he was in Hawaii as well.
I don't recall it.
Oh, thank
have
you,
it.
ELM.
Kinda
I'm glad you like it.
I don't know. Following, they were around each other a lot, and then she went to his house to live, so
Right.
she went over there.
So they were pretty strongly bonded with each other, weren't they?
Yes.
I'm, and I didn't hear what the name was, and I apologize for my ignorance. Talk to me a little bit about, I think you said King Noah. Was it King Noah? Is that what you mentioned on the tape when you were talking to Lori Vallow?
Yes.
Okay. And the date of that
That's-
conversation
yes,
was when,
Mo.
September 8th again?
Yes.
And
That's
missed-
Chad
I was having some
Daybell.
difficulty kind of gathering what the reference to King Noah was about. Tell me about that.
And this
She
is his
brought the reference up
preliminary
with
hearing.
A prophet named Alma, and she asked me about Alma, and so I explained to her, the people that were surrounded with that occurrence of Alma's
What's the
experience.
occurrence of Alma?
Mr.
Yeah, what
Pryor,
is-
You keep interrupting the witness, so it's extremely difficult for me to hear the last few words of her answer before you answer. So if you'll please allow her to finish before you interrupt.
Again, Your Honor, I apologize.
No problem.
So ma'am, I'm sorry, and I'll try to do better. I'm just intrigued by this.
Me too.
Obviously, please excuse my ignorance. Tell me a little bit about Alma.
Alma was a prophet.
I'm just intrigued by
before
this.
He became that prophet. He was in a court as a high priest to a king
Very
called King
bad
Noah.
dude.
But this king Noah was a very unrighteous king.
Oh,
And so Alma, being one of the judges or high priests that were listening to another prophet called him to repentance, named Abinadi, he started to feel that the actions of King Noah were evil, and he broke away from this group, and then he left.
And I got the sense that there was some sort of adultery undertone there. Am I misunderstanding that?
Yeah, King Noah and his group of people tend to be
Lori
broken to
Vallow's
commandments and
children.
keeping
They're both, Lori Vallow and Chad
Your Honor, I
Daybell are
object to
accused of unaliving Lori's
Mr. Pryor, do
children,
you want to respond to that?
Well,
JJ
there
and
was some
Tylee.
reference to Ms. Vallows'
and
behavior.
I
some
think
reference to King
and
Noah and
Lori is also
erroneous
accused of
something like that.
unaliving
And I
her
think quite
first
honestly, I ought to be able
husband,
to inquire
Charles,
if the tape was played, it was presented as evidence.
and
I think I at least want to
also
inquire what that reference
accused,
was to
he's,
referring to.
Chad
That's what I'm trying to
Daybell
get
is
at.
accused of
Just get an
unaliving
explanation of
his
what that
wife,
reference was,
Tammy.
because I am terribly confused about what they were talking about.
Objection overruled. I'll allow the questioning.
So was adultery part of this?
Hey, Jaxie, good to see
dynamic
you.
of this issue with King Noah and the such?
It was multiple things that King Noah. I said riotous living.
Okay, what do you mean by right? I've got to stop. I'm sorry, Judge. Go ahead.
What's riotous
well,
living?
I don't know everything that they were doing in the scriptural reference other than they noted it. So whatever that meant in their day.
So in multiple things, adultery obviously was one of those, correct?
It was one of those.
Okay. And in the scripture that you're referring to, is there a biblical source of that information in that story that you're telling me?
Which scripture reference are you referring to?
The one about King Noah that you were discussing with Lori Vallow. What is the source? What is there a book or a document that story is told in?
Oh, it's in the Book of Mormon.
It's in the Book of Mormon. Okay.
Correct.
So your reference with Lori, obviously,
Oh,
she
no,
understands that
Amy.
because she was actively and still participating in the LDS religion.
Correct.
And Mr. Daybell was actively participating in the LDS religion, correct?
That I know of.
Okay. And you were actively participating in the LDS religion.
Correct.
So all of you understood the references that you were
Yes.
talking about. That's what I was trying to get at. And thank you, ma'am, for explaining that. I didn't understand. Okay. And please excuse my ignorance. Oh.
Yes, Mo.
What the subject was. It was
Yes.
a religious subject, was it not?
Yes.
Hey, Diane.
Oh, I did. And thank you. Mr. Daybell was an author, is that correct?
Is he an author?
Yes.
Correct.
And he writes fiction, is that correct?
I haven't read all his
Objection,
books.
is he on the scope, relevance?
Mr. Pryor?
Well, Judge, I think what she did is talk an awful lot about Mr. Daybell and her knowledge of Mr. Daybell. And I think, quite honestly, if I'm using this as a way of trying to find out exactly how familiar she is with Mr. Daybell. She
Oh,
made a number
no,
of
let me
statements, and
see.
quite honestly, I think I ought to be able to inquire about, how much does she know about Mr. Daybell? I think that's perfectly relevant.
Mr. Wood?
No, she deleted her own
Thank you,
comment, babe.
Your Honor, this is turning into a fishing expedition. Preliminary hearing is not for the defense to engage discovery. He's limited in what he's supposed to ask to what was presented on.
I agree with Mr. Wood. However, I think that there is some inquiry that can be made here. The question was
No
about
fishing.
an author and what the
Yeah.
substance of the books were, what genre they were. So I'll allow the questioning. You can continue to make your objection, Mr. Wood, if you'd like, if he feels going too far.
You haven't read all of his books, but the nature of it is that he's a fiction writer. Is that fair?
Fair.
Okay. And you're I don't want to say fiance. You're not engaged to Mr. Warwick. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, she's
Mr. Warwick
salty
is a writer
about
as well?
that.
No.
Oh, I was under the impression he was an author as well. He wrote some things. That's incorrect?
Incorrect.
Okay.
Oh.
Judge, I have nothing further. Thank you very much. And thank you, Ms. Gibb. I appreciate your patience with me.
You're welcome.
Mr. Wood, and you redirect.
Your Honor, the state would ask for a 5-minute recess.
We'll take 5. Mr. Wood, do you wish to have redirect of the witness, Ms. Gibb?
Yes, just briefly, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
We're almost done, you
Ms.
guys.
Gibb, you testified that you were there when Chad and Lori met, correct?
Correct.
Oh.
Lori had told you,
It's
is it
too
true Lori
much.
had told you she had read Chad Daybell's books
Yes.
before they met?
Yes.
And you recently testified that Lori and Chad met up several times, correct?
Correct.
And Lori told you about these visits, correct?
Yes.
And they were infatuated with each other, weren't they?
Yes.
And Mr. Pryor asked you about your LDS beliefs,
Yes.
questioned you quite rigorously about it. And you're a member of the LDS faith. And, and you testified that Chad, to your knowledge, is a member of the LDS faith, correct?
Correct.
And Lori was a member of the LDS faith, correct?
Correct.
And that you had some level of bonding over the LDS faith, correct?
Yes.
But did Lori believe things that you didn't believe?
Yes.
Who taught her those things?
She was taught through Chad
And how do you know that?
because she didn't seem to have knowledge of the things she shared with me until she met him.
Okay. And did she ever tell you that Chad taught her things?
Yes.
Yes, Mo, closet portals. You heard correctly. It's
weekend
not
of the
even a
19th
joke.
To the 23rd of September 2019. You testified earlier, didn't you, that Chad Daybell?
That's an
was at
excellent
Lori Vallow's
question,
wedding several times?
MK.
Yes.
No further questions.
Ms. Gibb, you may be excused from the witness stand. Mr. Pryor, Mr. Wood, may this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
There's no excuse for you, Melanie. All right, you guys. Okay,
That
so
was pretty
these-
good timing.
It was. These closet portals, Mo, this is a very, very complicated situation. And I'm about to end it for tonight, but I promise you, we're going to get into these closet portals. Okay. I promise we will, because these questions are continuing. We're going to continue to cover these pretrial hearings so that everybody's caught up and we're all on the same page for when Lori's trial starts April 3rd, provided it does start on April 3rd. Everybody fingers crossed.
Yes.
So
I
I
can't
would
wait
think-
for us to do the cops and like
Me too.
the FBI. Oh, That'd be
Me
great.
too. And MK, you're right. Like I'm saying that I agree with you. It seemed why were Lori's kids the only kids that were targeted? It's
Mhm.
yeah. It's with their beliefs. It's just ugh. Anyway, I want to thank Allie. Thank you so much for being here, babe. I'm so glad we finally got to do this. And I'm so glad that you were like down to do it right after you ended your great live. If you guys missed Allie's live this afternoon, go back and watch it. It's fantastic. She does an excellent job of going over the newest stuff that's been released with the Brian Koberger case. Some documents and search warrants have been unsealed, and she does a fantastic job breaking all of it down. She really does. You're doing tremendously on that case. I'm so proud of you.
Well, thank you so much for all of that. And thank you for doing this with me, because I've been so excited for us to do it since we first talked about it. So for it to finally be happening, I'm so looking forward to it. So yeah, I'm
Me
really
too.
excited.
Me too.
I've loved seeing you, and you like, oh my gosh, finally, because you've always been amazing. I just love that you're like getting to the recognition, because you freaking deserve it. And I'm just so proud of you. I love it so much. It's great.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And you know what, Audra, thank you for sticking around, because I know if you just come in the middle of it and you're like, what are these two jokers doing? This is a serious thing, but you hung in there and you stuck it out with us. Thank you for that. I appreciate you for doing that.
Yes,
Giving us a chance.
absolutely.
Giving us a chance. All right, thank you,
Yep.
Smooth Criminal Podcast. Okay. I'm out. I'm gonna go over to Decipher Podcast and see what's what over there, what they're talking about tonight. And I will see you guys around these YouTube streets. Y'all take care.
Yep.
Tomorrow night I will be live. I will have a premiere where I'm gonna talk about, I have a video for the Stephen Smith case. And then the lovely Brittany J, allegedly with Brittany J, and hopefully Mallory will be joining me on panel tonight or tomorrow night to discuss the video and the Stephen Smith case. Okay, so you guys have a great rest of your Saturday night. Allie, thank you
Awesome.
again so much for being here, babe. I appreciate it. If you haven't done
And
so
thank
already,
you.
oh,
I
you're
had so much fun.
welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome, babe. If you haven't done so already, give your
Bye,
girl
guys.
a thumbs up. And I will see y'all around these YouTube streets. All right. Good night. Bye.